the current districts, congressional districts in Utah, are they were done unconstitutionally because the Utah legislature didn't listen to the voice of the people. And of course, the Republicans in the Utah legislature and elsewhere are saying, well, this is judicial activism. So we're going to have, I'm sure, some appeals here. But we're going to talk with Taylor Morgan, partner with Morgan May Public Affairs. And I think he's been with you on Inside Sources in the old version.
I've known Taylor for years. He's wonderful. Taylor, thanks for joining us this morning.
Greg, you're too kind. Hey, let me tell you what, Greg. I think we need to find some other hobbies for you. If you're waking up at 4 a.m. to read court rulings, I'm not sure. But that's why you're a good attorney and a great host, Greg.
That's when I usually work out. And so I was thinking, do I work out or do I prepare for the show today?
He worked out his brain.
Yeah, I had to work out my brain. So talk to our listeners, Taylor, about a little bit about the history of this, and maybe not going back too far, but from the voter initiative in 2018.
Yeah, there is so much to the history here and to this ruling. Let me just say this. What a time in Utah politics. Holly, you can probably attest to this, but for so long in my career here in Utah politics, the legislature has been sued countless times on issues like this, and the court has ruled in favor of the legislature so many times, and I can't recall any other time in Utah politics when the courts have so consistently, repeatedly checked the legislature's power and questioned their decisions. So whether or not you like this, boy, what a time in politics here in Utah, so much happening. Okay, but let's get back to 2018 and Proposition 4. Proposition 4, of course, sponsored by Better Boundaries, that implemented an independent commission to essentially draw maps for Utah's legislative and congressional districts. Now, Proposition 4 at the time was structured in a way that it was very creative because the Prop 4 sponsors knew that they had to be smart about the redistricting power, the constitutional power of redistricting. Utah's constitution says that it is a legislative power to draw those boundaries. So Proposition 4 created an independent redistricting commission to take public input and to essentially draw the maps, but then statutorily required the Utah legislature to essentially approve or disapprove the commission's maps and required the legislature to explain their decision. So it left the power to the legislature constitutionally to have the final say on maps, but gave statutory power to the commission to essentially draw the maps. A very nuanced, very smart proposition or ballot measure in that way. But, you know, the legislature, it didn't even vote up or down on the commission's maps. It just drew their own maps instead, hence the lawsuit.
So explain a little bit about this decision then that came down last night from Judge Gibson.
Yeah. Here is the crux of the case. The crux of the ruling is, who is the legislature? We know the judge agreed and was clear in the ruling that the Utah Constitution does explicitly say that drawing boundary maps is a legislative function. And the real question is, who is the legislature? Utah's Constitution gives co-equal power to lawmakers who are elected in the legislature and the voters to legislate, right? And so by ignoring the commission, did the lawmakers who were elected in the legislature essentially ignore their counterparts, the voters, in drawing the maps? Ultimately, the crux is, who has the power constitutionally in Utah to legislate? Very complicated question, so much to this. At the end of the day, it is a lot more about quote-unquote gerrymandering and a lot more about the constitutional power to make and change laws in Utah. And as you can imagine, that will have far-reaching implications well beyond just this case.
And Taylor, can you remind our listeners about the redistricting commission that was contemplated by Proposition 4, what it was proposed to do and sort of its makeup, if you recall?
Yeah, the Independent Redistricting Commission is set up to be just that, independent. It has a variety of members. some appointed by the governor, some appointed by the Utah Senate and then the Utah House and others kind of at large from the public. The Independent Commission held a number of meetings and hearings throughout the state leading up to the redistricting decision. It took a lot of public input. Voters had the ability to submit ideas and suggestions for maps. The commission then discussed and debated those maps in hearings and then presented maps that they recommended. The Independent Commission really was ultimately ignored by the Utah legislature, and I think that's the question, is who has the constitutional power to make the final decision on maps? Do the voters truly have co-equal constitutional power as elected lawmakers?
So, Taylor, I know that Republican lawmakers are saying that the judge was wrong and that the Utah legislature does have the sole power to draw maps. What do you think is going to happen with the law from here?
Ooh, Holly, that is the $1 million question. I will probably text Greg at 4 a.m. tomorrow and see what he thinks about it.
Right.
Nobody knows, right? Because again, it is a much bigger question than just about whether or not these maps were gerrymandered. The judge in the ruling, she did say that other parts of the Utah Constitution give the legislature, quote, sole, S-O-L-E, power, right? The word sole does not apply to drawing boundaries, right? And so by not including the word sole when it comes to the redistricting power constitutionally, there is an implication in the Constitution that that power is shared co-equally by the legislature and by the voters. So this is the crux of the argument here. I have to assume that the legislature, the state, will appeal this ruling. I think that's pretty much a guarantee. Where it goes from there, boy, Holly, Greg, your guess is as good as mine.
Thanks for joining us, Taylor. That was Taylor Morgan with Morgan May Public Affairs, I think. So when we come back, we're going to hear a live reaction from Republican Senator Todd Weiler. And please stay with us through our hour of special coverage on this redistricting ruling.
Hey, Utah, it's the Waterboy, Colson Firmage, a third-generation Culligan man. Kent, did you hear that? That's the sound of clean, pure Culligan water.
I did, Colson, but that's not what's going to make a splash today. Today only, August 26th, Culligan Water has an exclusive deal for KSL listeners.
You mean that hard, funky-tasting water that's about to become a thing of the past?
Exactly. Today only, you can get a Culligan whole home system and save an incredible $1,500. A huge discount that gives you whole home filtration, water softener, and reverse osmosis.
$1,500? That means no more crusty faucets, no more spotty dishes, and no more worrying about what's in my drinking water?
Think of it. Healthy, pure, clean drinking water, cleaner laundry, and even softer skin and hair. This is the biggest deal we've ever offered, and it's only available today.
So if you're sick and tired of hard water and want to save some serious cash, what's the play, Kent?
You have to act fast. Call us at Culligan Water right now, 801-509-9602.
That's right, 801-509-9602. Or check us out at CulliganSLC.com. This one-day deal ends tonight.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, There are several ways, so consider this as part one in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Kinetico is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result? Kinetico delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Kinetico dealer, Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
You still have 40 million plus vehicles globally that are driving around with a potential ticking time bomb, a grenade in either their steering wheel or their dashboard. When we look to what injuries may have transpired from a defective airbag, we generally see loss of vision in an eye, or we see facial lacerations. We also see hearing loss. Unfortunately, we started seeing death after death after death. When that passenger airbag exploded, it basically degloved his entire face. He lost his nose, he lost his right eye. The type of catastrophic injuries that one is more accustomed to seeing in a Hollywood movie, and not something from a device in an automobile that's supposed to protect you. Morgan & Morgan has a national reach in terms of handling and prosecuting cases, notwithstanding the team of lawyers that we have collected that focus only on product liability day in and day out.
Morgan & Morgan. Visit us at badairbags.com for an office near you. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
Hi, Grandma. What's for dinner?
Hey, honey, I'm making stew tonight.
Ooh, can Nina come over?
I'm not sure about our new friend. I wonder if there's been any drinking going on. Alcohol at her age can lead to so many bad things. I've been meaning to ask you, what would happen if someone offered you a drink?
Grandma?
This is hard. She's so young, but I know I need to talk to her about it now before someone tries to give her alcohol. If anyone ever does offer you a drink, I want you to say no. I have too much respect for my family, and I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay.
Really?
I promise, Grandma. I love you too.
Okay, how about tasting this stew and telling me what you think?
Some children may try alcohol as young as 9 years old. It's not too early to talk about drinking. For tips on how to begin the conversation, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. That's underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. This message brought to you by SAMHSA and this station.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop texts, stopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Utah legislators and elections officials are scrambling this morning, Holly, over a decision by a 3rd District Court judge yesterday indicating that the current congressional maps were drawn inappropriately and gave them 30 days to give her a new maps. New maps. I mean, 30 days, and we're 15 months away from midterm elections, so I think that the lieutenant governor and other election officials would like to know what the districts are sooner rather than later.
That's right. And one of the things with drawing these new maps is the judge also said, A, you cannot go back to the ones that are currently in place, and B, if there are none that are acceptable according to these guidelines under Proposition 4, then the court will draw the maps.
Yeah, and that's really caused some consternation because a lot of legislators are saying they're
Stay in your
crossing the
lane.
line. Yeah, stay in your lane. Separation of powers. The judges can decide what they do. We decide what we do. But there's an interesting separation of powers between the citizens and the legislature as it relates to legislation. And we have these ballot initiatives, which we really don't talk about those very much. But there were, I think, 3 or 4 in 2018 that all made a little bit of headlines.
They made a lot of headlines.
Legalized cannabis, expanded Medicaid, and not the least of which we're talking about today, the redistricting. And the proposition in 2018 was just to create a redistricting commission.
That's right.
Which would propose some maps that the legislature would look at and maybe pick one. It did propose some maps, and the legislature, let's face it, disregarded all of them and made its own maps.
All right. We have on the line with us Republican Senator Todd Weiler to weigh in on his thoughts. And he's an attorney, too, by trade, so he may have a legal opinion as well as a political one. Hi. Hey, Senator.
Hey, good morning, Greg and Holly. Good to talk to you again.
So what was your initial reaction to this when you read about it, Todd?
Well, I can't say I'm surprised. Kind of like the governor, based on the Supreme Court decision last year, I've made my way through most of Judge Gibson's 76-page decision, and it's very well reasoned and very well supported with her analysis. And I actually like Judge Gibson. I don't think she's got this secret desire to, embarrass the legislature or anything. And I think she's probably done her best work. But I think that there are several areas of her decision that are that will be tested on appeal. And my message to you this morning is this is far from over. I will be surprised if this decision is not put on hold through a stay either issued by Judge Gibson or the Utah Supreme Court. And my biggest criticism, I think, of the whole process is this case was filed in 2022, so 3 years ago. And Judge Gibson had, it's been 13 months since the Supreme Court sent this back to her. She had this issue fully briefed at the beginning of this year. She did ask for supplemental briefing, but she's taken a lot of time to issue this decision and has given the legislature only 30 days now to react. And she's preserved another month plus on the back end because the lieutenant governor says she needs the maps by November 1st to put them in place for next year. And so if you read the law, the legislature is supposed to put out these maps 10 days before they vote on them and get public comment. And so if that public process were to be respected, she's really only given us 20 days when she herself has taken almost 9 months or, over 8 months this year and 13 months since, she got the case back from the Supreme Court. And so, how convenient that the judge gets all of this time and then the legislature gets, basically 3 weeks. So that's my biggest criticism of the process.
That's actually super interesting. Will you just remind our listeners, when you say the Supreme Court sent it back to her, what was that process?
So she initially there were motions to dismiss, and she dismissed count 5 or count 4. And then the state appealed that she didn't dismiss more of the counts, and the plaintiffs, the Better Boundaries people, they appealed that she dismissed the one they did, and the Supreme Court overturned her on the one dismissal that she made, and then Better Boundaries amended their complaint and they added a bunch more, like 4 more causes of action. And so this case has already gone up once on appeal, and it'll go up a second time on appeal. And I want to tell you guys something. There are some federal election laws implicated by this decision. So you could see, I think, potentially portions of this go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. I'm not saying 100% certainty that they would take it, but this may not even. So Utah Supreme Court, they get the last answer on the state constitution, but the federal election implications and the federal law that is at play here, that could go to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Todd, in terms of the 30-day requirement to get some proposals together, we do have some. I don't recall what exactly came out of the redistricting commission, but they had at least a couple of different proposals that they had made to the legislature that could be at least a framework for something that would come forward within the next 30 days, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the legislature is going to do. I mean, one potential is that we put up all 3 of those independent redistricting maps from 5 years ago, that we put them up for a vote. My guess is all 3 of them would fail. All of those maps would fail. And then the legislature might hold up their hands and say to the court, well, we tried. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I will say this. I think the decision raises more questions. The ruling raises more questions than it answers. And this actually just came out last night when I was having dinner. So there hasn't been a lot of time to react to it. And in any event, buckle your seats. I think the next three months are going to be interesting because remember, all 4 of our congressmen in the U.S. House of Representatives, they have to file for re-election in the first week of January next year. We used to have the filing in March, and we moved it up to January. So this is going to be fast and furious to see what happens. If I had to guess right now, I think this ruling gets put on hold, and all of this gets punted until 2028.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a question about that. So if there is an appeal, which I assume that there will be to the Utah Supreme.
100%.
100%. Okay. 100%.
And there would have been either way, Holly. If she would have ruled
You're right.
in the legislature's favor, then the plaintiffs would have appealed. So
right.
That was always inevitable.
Well, what does the timing look like for that?
Well, I think that my guess, and this is just a guess, I don't represent the legislature legally. My guess is they'll ask Judge Gibson on Friday to stay her ruling, and if she declines, then I think there will be some type of emergency petition to the Utah Supreme Court asking them to issue a stay. And quite frankly, stays are quite common on appeals. Sometimes there's a bond has to be posted. I don't think that's an issue with the state of Utah being the defendant, but we'll see. I think we'll know in the next 3 weeks or so if there's going to be a stay, which just puts this ruling on hold.
I think one of the things that she put in her ruling, Todd, and maybe you haven't gotten this far, was that there's going to be a hearing in the first or second week of October, and it might be a hearing to decide or to propose or to see where each party is with respect to their proposed congressional maps. I mean, I don't know if that's even going to go forward in light of what you're saying about the fact that there probably will be an appeal filed.
Yeah, so she carved out over a week in mid-October, and that was an evidentiary hearing. So that was for her to take evidence if, like, the plaintiffs didn't like the maps that the map that the legislature approves by September 24th. But what I'm saying is I'm not sure the legislature. I'm not convinced the legislature will approve a map by September 24th, either because there's a stay in place or because the maps that we have from the Redistricting Commission, I don't think there's enough support to pass any one of them.
I have one final quick question. How does this, in your opinion, how does this play into the national conversation about redistricting, both with Texas giving 4 Republican heavy seats and California doing, 5 Republican seats and California redistricting to give 5 more Democratic seats? Is this similar at all? And if so, why or why not?
This is not similar at all because Utah, we drew our districts, and whether you like them or not, we're not, the legislature, the state legislature, we're not proposing to change them. It's the courts that saying, we don't think you followed the proposition in drawing those, so we're now telling you have to change them. Interestingly, Holly, I've gotten at least one email saying this before this decision came out, saying, well, why don't you redraw the districts now and add a 5th seat? And apparently, could you imagine if every state's just trying to add seats? Anyway,
it doesn't really work that way. I know. Yeah, I know.
That's a non-starter. So I think this is very different because this is not the legislature saying, and we don't have any seats, that the Democrats hold that we could try to take away, and that's what Texas is doing, and California is doing the reverse. They're trying to take away some Republican seats that their independent commission gave. That were won by Republicans from the last census.
Thanks for joining us this morning. That was Senator Todd Weiler, who was always available and willing to talk to us about what we're doing and what we're doing wrong sometimes. Todd chimes in. When we come back after the break, we'll continue our coverage of last night's court ruling requiring Utah to redraw congressional maps. One of the plaintiffs live on the line with us to discuss it more on what they're calling a historic victory. Stay with us.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top local story this hour: flooded cars from several disaster-struck states have made their way into Utah's used car market. A car's title should say if a car has been flooded out, but bad actors, by illegally removing the history, make the title look clean to potential buyers. Carfax's M. Wynn says they have found thousands on their own platform. She says to check underflooring, the glove box, and engine compartments for mud, silt, or rust.
Use all of your senses. Is there a smell of mold or mildew? When you're taking a test drive, is there a strange sound?
For a final check, it may be worth it to pay the $150 for an independent mechanic to inspect the car. We're expecting rain several days in a row, and water conservationists say it's time to let Mother Nature do her thing and turn off your sprinklers. Denise Signorelli with the Western Watersheds Project says most people have been watering often because of our dry spell, but it would make a big difference if people would stop watering for just a few days.
Conserving 1 inch of water on every lawn would be massive. That would be huge.
Signorelli says agriculture uses a lot of our water, and she hopes farmers will also choose to back off their watering as much as they can during this storm system. Your money at this moment, the Dow is in the negative, just slightly down 46 points to 45,235. Coming up, rain today and tomorrow and the next day. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time 9:32.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
When it's hot like this, air conditioners struggle to keep up. Parts are under more stress, and sometimes those parts fail. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and no one helps more homeowners maintain and repair their air conditioners than Any Hour Services. As a matter of fact, last year, over 32,000 homeowners called Any Hour Services for help maintaining and repairing their systems. Any Hour Services has over 100 HVAC technicians to help with everything from maintenance, repair, to installing a new system. This summer, there'll be a lot of people told they need to replace their air conditioner, and they'll wonder, do I really need to? If you're told you need to replace your air conditioner and you still have questions, Any Hour Services can give you a second opinion and let you know what options are available. Maybe it just needs a little maintenance or a small repair. Maybe it does need to be replaced, but if you don't feel good about being told you need to replace your air conditioner, don't ignore those feelings. Call Any Hour Services for help with air conditioner maintenance, repair, or to schedule a free second opinion. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Hey guys, it's Woodrow from Mint Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with ED? Well, you are not alone, and now there's a real solution that treats the root cause, not just the symptoms. Introducing our Trifecta approach, a breakthrough combination of acoustic wave therapy, hormone replacement, and cryotherapy, all designed to restore blood flow, boost performance, and rebalance your hormones. Whether it's ED or hormonal imbalance, if you're ready to reignite your love life, this treatment helps bring back your energy, your drive, and your confidence. And right now, when you call, you'll receive a free consultation, a blood flow ultrasound, and an intimacy gift. That's a $650 value, absolutely free. And here's the bonus. The next 20 callers will also receive a 5-night stay at a luxury resort in Hawaii just for taking the first step. But you must call now. With 2 convenient locations in Layton and Sandy, help is closer than you think. Call 801-804-8000 now. That's 801-804-8000. Mint Medical Clinic. We'll get you back to mint condition.
The Social Security Administration just announced they are now projected to run out of money 1 year earlier than expected. Benefits could be cut by as much as 23%, and the average person could lose more than $100,000 in lifetime income. This news could significantly change when you file for Social Security. Discover how you could get every penny out of your benefits with a free Social Security analysis from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $300,000 and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. This free, customized analysis could help you get every penny out of Social Security. Call 801-896-9622. That number again, 801-896-9622.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
Traffic and weather together now, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Let's check in with Heather Kelly.
We still have a bit of slowing northbound I-15, trying to go through Lehigh toward the point of the mountain. The roads there are also very wet, which is slowing things down even more. You also have the delay still coming out of Saratoga Springs on Redwood Road and 2100 North. Now, once you're in the Salt Lake Valley, if you're trying to get into downtown Salt Lake City, northbound I-15 also has some brake lights from the Spaghetti Bowl to the 600 South exit. And if you're on Bangerter Highway in the road construction zone, we do have a crash northbound Bangerter right at 9800 South, but the cars have been pulled behind the construction barrels. Get a free ticket to Sharing Aloha through August with every Cinemark purchase of 2+ tickets. Use code ALOHA, all capital letters, at checkout. Limited number available, sharingalohathemovie.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today will be mostly cloudy with a chance of rain showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon. Right now, there are a few scattered rain showers in the Salt Lake Valley. The sun has gone back behind the clouds, and it's 75 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
We have an issue that makes our little nerdy hearts happy. Political nerd, legal nerd that we both are. And it is this court case that the ruling just came down last night from Judge Diana Gibson of the 3rd District Court that says basically the Utah legislature overrode the will of Utah's citizens that they clearly had demonstrated in 2018 when we voted to approve this independent redistricting commission, and said that Utah needs to redraw their congressional maps, and they have 30 days to do it.
It's a problem, I think, Holly, that we're going to see maybe in the future unless there's some changes, because the legislature passes laws, but every once in a while the citizens get together and say, you know what, you're not going in the direction we want, and they do these ballot initiatives, and they're very rare. We don't see them very often. But when they do conflict with something the legislature is doing, the question becomes who overrides who. And the judge's decision seems to say here that they're both able to make laws, but the legislature does need to defer to the citizens when they sit down and say, hey, this is what we think the law should be. They created a redistricting commission. The commission created some boundary proposals for the legislature. The legislature simply ignored them, which I think is what caused the whole problem. They could have given it more deference, and we wouldn't be here, but they chose to ignore them altogether and pass their own boundaries.
Well, there was a lawsuit filed because of that. And one of the groups that were plaintiffs in this lawsuit were the women from Mormon Women for Ethical Government. And we have on the line with us Laura Ie. She's a friend of mine. I've known her for a number of years, actually. And I am really excited to talk to you, Laura, about how you feel like this ruling came out last night.
Yes, thank you, Holly. It's great to be here. We are thrilled. We feel like this ruling just represents what can happen when people across political bounds, when voters come together and use the constitutional right to reform their government. And Utahns did so. They felt, as a Utah value, we want constituents to be able to choose their politicians and not the other way around, came together across political boundaries and voted for Proposition 4. And then the Utah court last night came down and interpreted our Constitution as they should in favor of Utah voters, and it's such a victory for us.
Laura, can you remind our listeners how and why the plaintiffs brought this lawsuit? What was behind it here? I mean, you had Proposition 4, you had the legislature passing, I think it was House Bill 2004. They definitely conflicted with one another, and is that really why the lawsuit was filed in the first place?
Right. So after passing Proposition 4 in 2018, the Independent Redistricting Commission came up with 4 maps that followed very specific guidelines of ethical governance, and it was bipartisan. Both Republicans and Democrats came together to create these maps, put them forward before the Utah State Legislature, and they were able to either choose between the maps or produce their own maps that would be also following the criteria. But instead, they chose to amend what the voters had put forth in Proposition 4 and totally overturn that and produce a gerrymandered map. And so then the Utah voters, we came forward, and our grassroots organization, Mormon Women for Ethical Government, we are we're a nonpartisan organization. Our membership is made up of Democrats and Republicans. We're actually majority Republican, and felt that we needed to hold the legislature accountable, and we wanted to wanted the will of the people and wanted what Utah voters had voted on with Proposition 4. And so we brought this lawsuit with the League of Women Voters and other plaintiffs.
So, Laura, one of the things that we just talked with our previous guest, Senator Todd Weiler, is he said he said that this process has been in the hands of this judge for quite a long time, and he feels like it's not really realistic to have 30 days to produce the maps. Do you have a response to that?
So we don't know exactly. I'll leave that to our attorneys to give specifics on that. But we hope that they will honor the timeline that's been given to them by the courts, and that we will have maps quickly in time for the November 1st deadline.
We're speaking with Laura A. from the Mormon Women for Ethical Government. And can you tell us where you think this is going right now? So the judge has issued the ruling. She said that, obviously the legislature has 30 days to file an appeal, but she's also said that she wants some proposed maps within 30 days and has actually scheduled an evidentiary hearing for the second week of October. Where do you consider this case to be headed in the next 30 to 60 days?
Yeah, so the court ruled that new maps must be in place for the 2026 election. And I don't know exactly what that will look like. But again, I anticipate that they'll move quickly to follow the law, and that we will hopefully get the requested maps to the Lieutenant Governor's office by November 1st. That's the hope.
So, Laura, one final question. When you, as an organization, are looking at this and talking about basically having citizens have a voice, a co-equal voice, what was it that the judge said that really brought that point home, I guess, yesterday?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the Constitution says that Utahns, we have the constitutional right to reform our government. And this is a very meaningful victory, that we put fairness and transparency above our political self-interest. I feel like this is a Utah value, that we hold our elected representatives accountable to the people. And I was just we're thrilled. MWEG is thrilled that that our constitutional rights as Utahns are being upheld, and truly that we know that voter-driven reform it's not only supported by the Utah State Constitutional, it's essential to a functioning democracy. And this is what can happen when a broad, cross-partisan group of citizens is committed to ethical redistricting. And that's what Utah voted on, and that's what was upheld in our courts yesterday.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks for joining us today. We've been speaking with Laura A. from Mormon Women for Ethical Government. When we come back, we're going to get an opinion from the other side. The Utah GOP chair, Rob Axson, has some pretty strong feelings about this ruling, and we'll talk to him when we come back next. We're streaming live on KSLNewsRadio.com, and we're on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
Hey, Utah, it's the water boy, Colson Firmage, a third-generation Culligan man. Kent, did you hear that? That's the sound of clean, pure Culligan water.
I did, Colson, but that's not what's going to make a splash today. Today only, August 26th, Culligan Water has an exclusive deal for KSL listeners.
You mean that hard, funky-tasting water that's about to become a thing of the past?
Exactly. Today only, you can get a Culligan whole home system and save an incredible $1,500. A huge discount that gives you whole home filtration, water softener, and reverse osmosis.
$1,500? That means no more crusty faucets, no more spotty dishes, and no more worrying about what's in my drinking water?
Think of it. Healthy, pure, clean drinking water, cleaner laundry, and even softer skin and hair. This is the biggest deal we've ever offered, and it's only available today.
So if you're sick and tired of hard water and want to save some serious cash, what's the play, Kent?
You have to act fast. Call us at Culligan Water right now, 801-509-9602.
That's right, 801-509-9602. Or check us out at CulliganSLC.com. This one-day deal ends tonight.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Hey, this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. Imagine struggling with a slow, outdated computer that takes forever to load anything, that randomly freezes up and is filled with viruses and malware.
Now picture yourself with a powerful desktop or laptop that runs smoothly and efficiently, making your work and entertainment seamless. Take one home today. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else do you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
There's a photo my wife took of me, sitting crisscross on the floor playing Legos with my boys. Might not sound like much, but back in 2020, I couldn't get down there without pain, let alone enjoy it. After 16 weeks on soda and 82 pounds gone, that picture means everything. It's proof that I'm not just present in my kid's life, but I'm active, engaged, and I'm healthy. Soda didn't just give me a plan. It gave me a partner, a personal nutritionist who helped me every step. Through grocery store trips, family vacations, late night cravings, you name it. If you're a parent who wants to be there, not just someday, but right now, go to sodaweightloss.com. Click the Request a Nutritionist callback. That's sodaweightloss.com. SOTA stands for state of the art. sodaweightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Right now at S&S Roofing, get $1,000 off any roof replacement. Plus, you'll get their incredible 50-year worry-free warranty. Dial pound 250 and then say the keyword S&S Roofing for a free bid.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. With honest conversations that let them know what we expect. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be shared with friends or family. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
An expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
And we need to be an expanded Inside Sources today because we have some coverage of a really interesting case that came out by a 3rd District Court judge just last evening. We're still breaking it down. We've been trying to get some pros and cons and different views on it, but a district court judge ruled that the redistricting maps that were proposed and put in place by the legislature in 2002 were unconstitutional, and in fact the redistricting commission that the voters voted on in a ballot initiative in 2018 should be what she's calling the law of the land.
Right. Well, let me just, not to correct you, but the maps were put in place after the last census, which was in 2020, and so the maps would have been put in place in 2021.
Right.
But they were anticipating this new census, right? And so in 2018, we had this citizens initiative passed that said we want a redistricting commission, independent commission, and it laid out guidelines that had to be followed. So when the judge ruled yesterday, she said the Utah legislature, A, did not take into consideration these maps, and B, did not follow the guidelines that were set out in this. And so she said that the Utah legislature has to throw out the maps that they're currently using. So our 4 congressional representatives are may or may not be in districts that are going to look the same for the next election. So there's a time component here where they're trying to get the maps redone by the end of September so that they can be completely finalized by November 1st, because January is when filing opens.
Yeah, and what the judge did order is that they send their proposed maps to her within 30 days of yesterday. So that puts you at September 25th. She scheduled an evidentiary hearing, which means people are going to come in and I guess put their maps on the table and show them to her the first or second week of October. Again, like you said, that gets us pretty close to what the lieutenant governor has said. I'd really like to know what's going on by November 1st, right? Because we've got, by then you're already at the point where people are starting to ramp up.
They're gearing up elections, and the elections office needs to know, right? So there's a whole lot of dominoes that would have to fall for this. So we also, as you mentioned, we've been getting reactions from both sides. And we have with us the GOP chair, Rob Axson. He's got some pretty strong reactions to this ruling. Hi, Rob.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good. Tell us about your reaction to Judge Gibson's ruling yesterday.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this, clearly, for a couple of different reasons. One, I think the reliance on a previously flawed opinion of the Utah State Supreme Court last year, which hampers and limits the ability of our legislature to engage in changes to laws, I think is very detrimental to a republic. The legislature is the most accountable and available to hearing from their constituents to engage in changes of laws and to put things into a place where constitutional amendments or judicial review is required, I think is a very bad precedent to start going down.
Rob, do you think that the ballot initiative process in Utah is flawed and that we're not doing things correctly and that maybe that needs to be revisited?
Yes, I think it absolutely needs to be revisited, but in light of what the state Supreme Court did earlier, and you keep in mind the party or the Constitution, the state Constitution allowed folks from various parties, perspectives, voters, whomever, to engage in both electing legislators to represent them, as well as engaging in the initiative process. And we had an understanding of what that looked like. That was upended last year with new interpretation by new members of the judiciary. And I think that created really additional fuel to the fire of this issue that came out yesterday. When it comes to redistricting, I think it's easy for folks to say, oh, now we get rid of gerrymandered maps. Look at Utah's congressional maps. You can't honestly say that those are gerrymandered. They're pretty straightforward. These are not convoluted, odd-shaped districts. There's plenty of examples of that throughout the country, and you can go and look at what true gerrymandered maps look like. We don't have that issue here in Utah, and I think it's a disservice to try to claim that there was some giant wrong that needed to be corrected.
So one of the things that the judge said is that, Proposition 4, that when that ballot initiative passed in 2018, it said that it couldn't overly favor one political party over another. And so, of course, the argument that I've seen is that because of the way it cuts up Salt Lake City into 4 different congressional districts, that did not meet the intent of this ballot initiative. Do you think that that's an accurate interpretation?
I do not, and I'll tell you why. Utah has 4 members of the House, and we have 2 members of the Senate. So that's 6 out of 535 voting members of Congress. Utah is already outnumbered. If we really want to have the issues that are important and the priorities of Utah elevated, we need to make sure that we are sending back a team of individuals who all understand the issues that affect not just their congressional district, but the entire state. I think that our state's legislature, in adopting maps that allowed for both rural and urban representation in all 4 of our congressional districts, was to Utah's benefit, to make sure that we had the individuals, the men and women that are sent back to D.C., equipped with the ability to represent our state and to represent it well. Keep in mind, too, Salt Lake County has, 1.3 million people out of 3.5 million people. Salt Lake City is is one of our largest cities. It's probably still the first, if not the first, the second largest city. There's not really a way to just allow for that to be solely represented. And again, even if you went down that path, you then would be hamstringing our ability to have our congressional delegation represent the state in a dynamic situation in D.C. where we are outnumbered.
Rob, I know it's only been decided within the last, it hasn't even been 24 hours, but can you, maybe two questions. Can you tell us, is there going to be an appeal filed? And I guess the answer to that should be fairly straightforward. But in light of that, and in light of what you've already described as the Supreme Court's weighing in on this about a year ago, don't you have a feeling that maybe the Supreme Court is leaning toward following this judge's ruling? The Utah Supreme Court.
I mean, obviously, you have to go through the process, and the appeals, I think, are very likely to proceed. You can assume where things are going to go, but those still will just be assumption. You need to put forward the best case possible and the arguments that and evidence that represent what the state would like to argue, and you leave it in the hands of our state Supreme Court. Now, you can appeal it beyond that, too, to the federal Supreme Court. Ultimately, though, I would encourage people from all points of view on this to really look at this from the perspective of what will get us the outcome that we want. Do we want fair districts? Do we want districts that are representative? I think those are all valid questions. But to assume that there's only one way to get there and that it goes through both the courts, where we've now effectively given one individual the ability to deem maps correct or not, I think that's a disservice to Utahns. Even the structure of the ballot initiative, which, as a reminder, this was a 50-50 issue. It's not like this was an overwhelming opinion. It was a very, very fraction of a percent difference between this initiative being adopted or not. But you look at the makeup of what that would do. You have three individuals that are selected by the Republicans in our state legislature, three selected by the Democrats, and one selected by a governor. That already creates some political calculations that are not representative of the state of Utah. Republicans outnumber Democrats 3-1. So to force equality there is going to just naturally change the outcome. Now, if we want to do that as a state, that's fine, but let's recognize it for what it is. And I think the other concerning piece to this is there's a requirement that people that are involved in the redistricting process have not participated or voted in a primary election or participated with a political party for the last 2 years or more. So it seems to be inefficient, and it certainly seems to be short-sighted to say, hey, we want to give to people who are politically disengaged the ability to make very important decisions for the political process. I think that was short-sighted.
Thanks for joining us, Rob. We've been speaking with Rob Axson, the chair of the Utah Republican Party, on this ruling that just came out last night.
Yeah, and it's been interesting, just the web and the back and forth that we've heard on this. When we come back, one strong risk factor in domestic violence is strangulation. We'll talk about why one Utah lawmaker says we should take that more seriously and fund it. We'll come right back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
1 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour is emergency traffic on I-15 in Layton. Let's go to Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center with the details.
Yeah, the freeway was shut down both northbound and southbound for at least 10 or 15 minutes. They just reopened southbound lanes at Layton Parkway, but traffic is at a standstill backed all the way up to Hillfield Road. Northbounders are still completely stopped right now, and that traffic goes back to 200 North in Kaysville. Andy.
A senior missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints died after an accident involving a lawnmower. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
Brent Blackburn was on a riding lawnmower on the side of a hill when it rolled over. Elder Blackburn and his wife Carolyn are both from Helper, Utah area and had been serving since April at the church's historic site, Adam-on-Niamen, near Gallatin, Missouri.
In a press release from the church, they say their prayers and condolences are with the family and hope for peace as they honor the life and service of Elder Blackburn. A reminder, the viewing for the 2 Tremonton officers killed in the line of duty takes place tomorrow at Bear River High School starting at 3 in the afternoon. Then their funerals will take place Thursday and Friday morning at the USU Spectrum in Logan, and we'll carry both funerals live here on KSL News Radio. Your money at this moment, the Dow is flat, 45,282 at the moment. Coming up, we got several more days of rain. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
When you take your grandkids to Disney, do they know what's in your investment portfolio? Do they even care? They're busy having a great time, and you're busy making memories. At Galileo Wealth Management, we understand the nuts and bolts of retirement planning, our investments, the stock market, taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and more. But think about it. What are you trying to do here? Is your goal to beat the S&P? Or is your goal to make memories with your family? Our goal is to give you the confidence to spend in retirement without the fear of running out of money. Call Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management today. 801-516-3227. That's 801-516-3227. Or go online to GalileoWealth.com. Let Todd Kim and Galileo Wealth Management help you make memories, not just money.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
If Old Spice Deep Sea Super Hydration Body Wash were music, what would it sound like? Start with the deep sounds of Old Spice's ocean waves and kelp. Layer on the smooth, renewing moisture. You wouldn't hear any parabens or phthalates because Old Spice Deep Sea hasn't got any. But you would hear that vitamin B3 for healthier looking skin. So while your regular body wash sounds like this, Old Spice sounds like this. Sounds like it smells amazing.
Do you know why more homeowners choose Any Hour Services for help when it's time to replace their air conditioners? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and the main reasons people choose Any Hour Services is because of our people, processes, and convenience. People tell us all the time that there's just something different about having an Any Hour Services technician in their home. That's why most of our over 18,000 Google reviews mention our technicians by name. Another reason is our 7-step install process that we call the Any Hour Difference. It all starts with the needs analysis, where you explain what you like and dislike about your current system. This helps us design and size a system that fits your comfort and efficiency preferences as well as your home's airflow requirements. As for convenience, most of our installs are completed in one day. We also have flexible, no-money-down financing options available, even if you've been told no in the past. So if you've been thinking about getting a new air conditioner, call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate today. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Emergency traffic brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account. Let's go back to Heather Kelly.
Well, this is for drivers in Davis County, both northbound and southbound at a complete standstill. Northbound, you're going to see the delays from 200 North in Kaysville all the way up to Layton Parkway. That's 2 miles. Traffic is completely stopped that direction. Now, southbound had also been stopped for quite a while. They've now opened one right lane at Layton Parkway. That traffic is backed up almost to Antelope Drive, so several miles, about 2.5, 3 miles southbound as well. Definitely want to avoid I-15 in the Layton area if you're coming out of Clearfield or from Farmington right now. Otherwise, you've got a pretty good drive at the rest of the roadways across the Wasatch Front. Where mountaintops meet motivation, Snowpine Lodge in Alta offers a stunning distraction-free setting for your next leadership retreat or client hospitality. Mention KSL and get 20% off. Snowpine catered food. Visit snowpine.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we've got a flash flood warning issued for parts of Kane and Washington counties in southern Utah. We'll see only a high today of 80 degrees near Salt Lake City with scattered showers today, tomorrow, and even into Thursday. We stay in the 80s for the rest of the week. Right now, some showers in parts of Salt Lake County, 75 degrees. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Holly, you and I have had a chance to speak with some experts and some law enforcement prosecutors and individuals involved in the domestic violence problem about what we've called what's become known as the LAP assessment, lethality assessment protocol. And we've had a couple of cases very recently in Utah that sort of highlighted the importance of recognizing strangulation as a part of that assessment. The legislature is revisiting how that's going to be funded in the future, and there's some discussion as to the importance of that as a part of the LAP assessment, because it's clearly important,
right,
and how much weight is actually put on that particular investigation part.
Well, I learned when the discussion about the LAP, this lethality assessment protocol, when that was being passed by the legislature, I had learned that strangulation is one of the high risk factors for domestic violence. So not only do we have that in the most recent case in Tremonton, where the victim of the alleged shooter said that he had several times had his hands around her throat and had choked her. We know that when you read the probable cause statement from his booking that he had done it just recently, so just over a week ago, but also from the 2024 incident with this particular family, that was one of the issues, right?
That's what made that particular violation an aggravated assault, in that there was alleged that he had strangled her. And the legislature has upped the charges a little bit so that strangulation in the presence of a child is a felony offense,
right,
all by itself. And and you can only imagine. I worked in the domestic violence arena for years, both as a prosecutor and a defense attorney, and I'll be honest, I hadn't really appreciated how important that particular component of it is. Here's more on the issue of funding strangulation exams in Utah from KSL investigative reporter Daniela Rivera.
We know strangulation is a top predictor of homicide. That's why the lawmaker who made the funding request this year says she was shocked when it didn't get funded. Gabby Petito, the Haight family, now Tremonton Police Sergeant Lee Sorensen and Officer Eric Estrada. These are just a few victims in high-profile homicide cases in which the suspects are men accused of strangling their loved ones.
Strangulation is really homicidal ideation.
Republican Representative Cheryl Acton says strangulation exams are needed to gather internal evidence of strangulation.
Without hard evidence, it's very difficult for prosecutors to prosecute perpetrators of domestic violence.
But without funding, those costs fall to police agencies and victims, or don't happen at all. The legislature allocated some money for the exams 2 years, but did not fund her request for $260,000 this year.
I was shocked by that also.
It's just heartbreaking when you lose heroes this way.
Craig Kingsbury, a retired Idaho police chief, studied violence against police officers in his own department, finding a link to prior incidents of strangulation.
I hope one of your legislators will bring that forward again in the next session. And I would encourage the Utah legislators to look at funding.
In a joint statement, Senate President Stuart Adams and House Speaker Mike Schultz said in part, the legislature has increased funding for domestic violence by nearly 150% in the past 5 years. Singling out one small pilot program is a disingenuous look at the legislature's ongoing commitment to addressing domestic violence. Lawmakers also made it a felony to strangle someone in the presence of a minor this year, and just last week, the state unveiled a new lethality assessment protocol dashboard as a response to domestic violence. Still, Acton says she hopes to see funding for strangulation exams become a regular feature of Utah's state budget.
Whatever we can do to prevent domestic violence, we should do.
So we have on the line with us Kimmy Wolf. She's the communication specialist with the Utah Domestic Utah Domestic Violence Coalition. Thanks for joining us, Kimmy.
You're very welcome.
Hey, I have my very first question is the lethality assessment protocol already asks about strangulation. Can you tell us more about strangulation exams? How is this different?
So a strangulation exam is exactly what it sounds like. It is a specific exam to assess the damage and any evidence a victim might have from an incident of strangulation. Now, some of the importance and differences, the strangulation exam could last between 2 and 4 hours, where strangulation and the effects might not take that much long. It receives much more of a cursory examination in the emergency department. Also, strangulation exams include special equipment. If you are darker complected, you might not see physical proof of a strangulation, but this special lighting can show bruising on darker skin.
So the legislature has historically budgeted, at least for the last couple of years, $200,000 for these exams. You had asked for $260,000 this year. That number was taken to zero, but the legislature is claiming, Kimmy, that it's part of a bigger protocol. It's part of a bigger exam, and we don't need to single out that particular exam for funding. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I would disagree with that because not only is the strangulation exam essential health services, it's also a forensic evidence collection tool. Now, we've heard Representative Acton say that it's very hard to prosecute without evidence. And we have this tool, and we need to use it.
So Kimmy, I'm just trying to understand a little better. If you're talking about these exams, and it sounds like there might be special lights that are needed, are these exams that are performed like on site after a domestic violence call, or would they be in a hospital?
They are done in a hospital.
Okay, so the victims would have to go into the hospital to undergo this exam, and the additional funding then would be to supply what the hospital needed for these?
No, it would be to reimburse the medical cost of doing this exam. It is done in a hospital. This is a crucial medical situation, and so yes, it has to be done by professionals. It wouldn't be prudent for it to be done by law enforcement at the scene of the crime. This is a highly specialized medical exam.
Kimmy, we're hearing that actually strangulation is a top predictor of homicide. We've had a couple of cases here in Utah that we talked about. Can you tell our listeners about your feelings about that?
Absolutely. I think Representative Acton, said it plainly. It's homicidal ideation. A slap, a push, a punch, those are quick actions. Strangulation, having your hands around someone's neck and continuing that pressure while they are struggling for breath and possibly losing consciousness, that is a different level of violence. There is a incredibly thin line between life and death when someone is strangled. Any instance of strangulation has been shown to be a strong indicator of future lethal harm.
Do you anticipate, Kimmy, that Representative Acton will bring this bill back?
Absolutely. She has stated that. She has the firm support of victims, domestic violence advocates, law enforcement, the medical community, and prosecutors. All of these groups are in support of not only the proper funding, but the expansion of these strangulation exams throughout the state. I think it's time to listen.
Thank you so much for joining us, Kimmy. That was Kimmy Wolf. She's the communication specialist with the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition. Now, when we come back, it may seem hard to believe, but until this year, Utah teachers had no maternity leave. Now they do, but it comes with some strings attached, and we'll talk about that issue next. We're streaming live, remember, on KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
Many people worry they're not making the right investment choices inside their 401ks. Did you know that you might have a little-known opportunity to add some additional investment choices to your 401k and get the help and recommendations you've been looking for? This exciting feature is called a self-directed brokerage window. And the best part? The money still stays within your 401k. Learn how the trusted advisors at Capital Wealth may be able to expand your investment portfolio. To learn more, call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Improving your 401k might mean the difference of retiring a few years earlier. Let's find out. Schedule your no-cost 15-minute consultation with the Capital Wealth team today. Call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Emergency traffic brought to you by Mountain America. We have stopped traffic northbound I-15 as you approach 200 North in Kaysville, all the way up to Layton Parkway, where the freeway had been closed for almost half an hour. Looks like they've just reopened a right lane, but it is going to take a lot of time to clear out these delays. You also have stop-and-go traffic southbound I-15 from Antelope Drive down to Layton Parkway because those lanes had also been stopped for quite a while. Now all of them have reopened, but there's still some flashing lights on the left shoulder, so traffic's still going to be pretty slow through that area. Wasatch Front businesses and property managers, GoPave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact GoPave Utah. GoPaveUtah.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
For nearly 70 years, Les Olson IT has been the trusted name for businesses. From state-of-the-art printers and copiers to managed IT services, we have the solutions you need to stay ahead in today's world. And now Les Olson IT is trusted and licensed in Utah for security systems, for technology that helps you work smarter. Les Olson IT, providing solutions that empower your business.
Les Olson IT.
This Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from noon to 3 as the movie show stops by. Then, browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes a new inventory every day. Then, they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. You're invited to visit the movie show this Friday from noon to 3. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
Hey Utah, it's the Waterboy, Colson Firmage, a third-generation Culligan man. Kent, did you hear that? That's the sound of clean, pure Culligan water.
I did, Colson, but that's not what's going to make a splash today. Today only, August 26th, Culligan Water has an exclusive deal for KSL listeners.
You mean that hard, funky-tasting water that's about to become a thing of the past?
Exactly. Today only, you can get a Culligan whole home system and save an incredible $1,500. A huge discount that gives you whole home filtration, water softener, and reverse osmosis.
$1,500? That means no more crusty faucets, no more spotty dishes, and no more worrying about what's in my drinking water?
Think of it. Healthy, pure, clean drinking water, cleaner laundry, and even softer skin and hair. This is the biggest deal we've ever offered, and it's only available today.
So if you're sick and tired of hard water and want to save some serious cash, what's the play, Kent?
You have to act fast. Call us at Culligan Water right now, 801-509-9602.
That's right, 801-509-9602. Or check us out at CulliganSLC.com. This one-day deal ends tonight.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Summer's almost over, but the heat is pressing on. If you've got battery trouble, stop by AutoZone for free battery testing. It may just need a charge, and we'll do that for free too. If you do need a battery, we've got options starting at just $89.99, and we'll recycle your old battery for free. Now that's a strong start. Don't miss the end of summer sale, now at AutoZone until September 22nd.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
One of the things that's surprising to me in Utah's family-friendly state that we love to pride ourselves on is that until this year, Utah teachers had no maternity leave. When I had my first child a very long time ago, I was a registered nurse at the time, and I had no maternity leave. And so then it was trying to pull together leave without pay, as much sick leave as I could take, as much vacation as I could take. And I still had to go back to work like 5 weeks after my baby was born, which seemed really early.
Yeah, it seems odd that in 2025, until 2025, Utah didn't have maternity leave for teachers.
They're public employees,
I assumed
right?
it was
right.
part of the equation.
It wasn't. KSL TV's Deanie Wimber looked into this issue.
Kindergarten teacher Courtney Wimberly was preparing her class when we caught up with her a few weeks ago. She had circled August 18th on her calendar.
My maternity leave starts the day school starts.
Until last month, many Utah teachers had no paid maternity leave. Hard to believe in 2025 in a profession so dominated by women.
I think people are just flabbergasted in general.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
The head of the Education Association says most people don't realize if teachers want to have children of their own, they use sick time, then leave without pay.
And if they don't have the ability to do that, then they leave the profession.
Representative Melissa Garf Ballard decided it was time for a change. She introduced a new law that gives teachers the same leave as other state employees.
It's time for Utah to really put our money where our priorities are and our policy where our priorities are, which is with our families.
So now teachers have what other state workers get: 3 weeks of parental leave, 3 weeks of postpartum leave, and the law allows schools to have a paid leave bank where teachers can donate unused time to their colleagues who need it. But the law doesn't address one standard that only applies to teachers, not police, not firefighters, or other state workers. But even with paid maternity leave, there's still a big assignment for teachers before they can leave to have their babies.
I did have to get my own sub. They don't offer like a pool of really qualified long-term subs. In the school district, you have to go out and find one yourself and then create weeks of lesson plans for that sub.
During Courtney's last pregnancy, she found a sub, then spent 80 hours creating all the lesson plans ahead of time. Now she's done it again, all while managing a toddler.
There have been unfortunate stories with other teachers who picked a sub that just wasn't quite qualified enough to give their students the best experience.
Ballard sponsored the legislation in part to reduce teacher turnover. A 2021 legislative audit found 42% of Utah teachers leave the profession in the first 5 years, higher than the national average.
Really good teachers have left the teaching profession because they feel like their school districts don't support them as teachers and mothers.
Lawmakers say it's more than that.
It's about time that we take care of our teachers and employees and be able to support our families.
Courtney Wimberly doesn't want to say it's overdue, not at 9 months pregnant, but she does think it will help keep good teachers in the classroom.
I think me becoming a mother has only bettered my teaching, bettered my work in general. So I believe they need to be better supported.
And I do agree that it's overdue. I guess it's kind of a good news, bad news. The legislature allows this now: 3 weeks of parental leave, 3 weeks of postpartum leave, and a leave bank that other teachers can give. Yeah. But I do think it's odd that you've got to find your own sub and create a lesson plan for that person. that because, like she said, no other state employee does that.
Right.
You just get your leave and the other employees back you up. But teachers don't have that luxury in some respect because someone has to fill the classroom.
Well, you know that I've been telling you about my daughter who is teaching right now, and she has been a long-term sub. In fact, last year when she started teaching, she was a long-term sub, not for somebody on maternity leave, but who was going through some cancer treatment. And it's one of the things where it's like, wait, what? You have to, you're going out on sick leave because you're having major surgery because of cancer, and yet before you do that and you're already feeling sick, you have to make sure you have all these lesson plans. Same with before you have a baby, have all these lesson plans in place.
Yeah, and until this year, teachers didn't have the option to get maternity leave anyway. They would have to take sick time or just unpaid leave.
Right.
And that contributed, no doubt, to the statistic that 42% of teachers leave the profession within the first 5 years.
Yeah, it's super high turnover.
I would assume that a high percentage of that are people that had to take some time off to have a baby and just realized they couldn't continue working or continue just living without any compensation at all.
And it's part of a broader conversation too about what we do with childcare in our state. So we know we're trying to improve teacher pay. We know that that's part of the equation. We know that things like this being family friendly, that's part of the equation. And I think part of it too is saying, look, can you even afford to buy a home or live in the area where you're teaching, right? That's got to be part of the equation too. And can you pay for childcare once you go back to work?
So 3 weeks does seem like a very
It's short.
Tiny number.
Yeah.
And then 3 weeks of postpartum.
It's a combined total of 6 weeks, which is really, it is quite short, right? It's better than 0. It's better than saying take all your sick leave and good luck, right? But it's something, right? And one of the things I'm glad about is that we have Republican legislators, female legislators, who are looking at this with I think different eyes and saying, hey, look, nobody's ever really looked at this before. Why is this an issue? And I think, kudos to Representative Garth Ballard, who saw this problem and said, hey, we've got to address this issue.
Okay, I have a dumb question. It might be an embarrassing question, but why not just say 6 weeks? Why divide it into 3 weeks parental and 3 weeks of postpartum?
I think, and I haven't looked at the law today, but I think that is parental leave means mother or father, and it means birth or adoption. Right. And so then the postpartum is you get an extra 3 if you actually physically gave birth.
That's what I was assuming that it meant, but I just didn't want to jump in
assume it means the same.
Sound like I was being judgmental that way. But I do think it's also interesting that other teachers can donate their unused time.
Yeah, and I think that's,
because 6 weeks is still a short time.
I think that's one of the things too, and it's not just maternal leave, paternity or paternal leave, family leave. You also have to look at what happens if somebody gets really sick. I think being able to donate sick time, I think that is a really great use of. I think it's a great morale builder, actually. So for people like me who rarely use a sick day, I would absolutely donate to maternity leave or to somebody who was going through cancer treatments, either for themselves or for their child.
Of course you would. And I wonder if teachers have been excluded from this in the past because of the fact that they have that summer break. They already have. I know that
3 months off,
and you can't say, well, that's when you have to time your baby. That would be ridiculous. But I just wonder if the legislature and others have been reluctant to fund teachers' time out because they get time out when they're not physically in the classroom.
I will just say this. I would think it's more a case of not actually realizing it was an issue. Right. I really do think that. And sometimes, the legislature, it's so fast and furious. You've got hundreds of bills flying at you, at least in those 45 days. And if somebody doesn't bring a problem to your attention and you, for some reason, aren't in that world, it's hard to know all the issues out there that need some correcting. So again, a shout out to Representative Garth Ballard, who took this issue on and said, oh yeah, it is a problem actually.
And a shout out to the legislature in general on teachers' salaries, teachers trying to keep teachers here in Utah, because if you look at where we were maybe as recently as 5 or 10 years ago, we couldn't keep teachers here anyway because the salary was so bad that they would get their certificates and go to Nevada or go somewhere else. But the legislature's up the ante there too.
We talked with I think it was the Jordan School District superintendent, and he said starting salaries there are $60,000 a year, right? And that was one of the things that they wanted to put in place so that they could keep their teachers, and they've got a retention rate of over 90%. So clearly that is working for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a lot better than 42%, which
turning over in the first 5 years.
Yeah, in the first 5 years.
Yeah,
well, let's hope that the legislature continues that funding and continues helping our teachers. And again, as of this year, teachers will have 3 weeks of parental when they have maternity leave. 3 weeks of parental, 3 weeks of postpartum, and other employees can donate what they call unused time from their bank. I think that's a good step in the right direction. Speaking of schools, is there anything more popular than recess and PE in elementary school? Not for me. When I was there, it was a long time ago. Recess times have shrunk in recent years, and some advocates are hoping that the revival of the presidential fitness test will boost time spent on physical activity. After the break.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section and after Dad's back injury. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Trouble with opioids can start at home with unused medicines such as pills, patches, and syrups. You can remove the risk and protect your family. Find out how at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top local story this hour: a fire in an apartment building in Eagle Mountain sent one person to the hospital overnight for burns. Unified Fire officials say the fire started on the second floor and quickly spread to the floor above. Corbin White lives on the first floor and saw the flames. He tells KSL TV he went door to door to warn his neighbors.
Realized that their place was catching fire, so that's when I kicked the door 7 or 8 times, kicked it in. And by the time I kicked it in, it was like the smoke was non-visible to like my stomach area. You couldn't see anything.
A pregnant woman on the third floor was among those who had to be rushed out. We're also told several first responders had to be treated for smoke inhalation. In all, 12 units were evacuated, and the investigation into what started the fire is just beginning. A former Utah State University student has been sentenced to serve prison time. This comes after he pled guilty to fraudulently obtaining hundreds of thousands of dollars through his student club. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has details.
Prosecutors say Mubarak Okashat was the president of the Student Association Muslim Students Club at USU in 2020 when they claim he obtained nearly $400,000 in COVID relief money and state unemployment benefits. The Department of Justice says he had the money sent to the club's bank account and then transferred it to his own and went on to use it to buy a car, electronics, and pay other debts.
The Kaysville native will now spend the next 2 years in prison. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: consumer confidence for the month of August went down as people worried about the impacts of new tariffs. The Consumer Confidence Index also measures how Americans are feeling about their current personal economic situation, and that was modestly down as well. Your money at this moment: the Dow is basically flat, but it's on the positive side of flat, with just up 9 points to 45,291. Coming up, it's raining right now, and it's going to be for the next few days. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 10:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
The Social Security Administration just announced they are now projected to run out of money 1 year earlier than expected. Benefits could be cut by as much as 23%, and the average person could lose more than $100,000 in lifetime income. This news could significantly change when you file for Social Security. Discover how you could get every penny out of your benefits with a free Social Security analysis from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $300,000 and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. This free, customized analysis could help you get every penny out of Social Security. Call 801-896-9622. That number again, 801-896-9622.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
If you need new windows and you live in Utah, there's only one choice. There are other window companies, but they're more expensive, and their windows aren't made in Utah for Utah's ever-changing climate. Advanced Window Products has been building state-of-the-art windows right here in Salt Lake for 39 years. And since they're the factory, they cut out the middleman, and you save 30, even 40% on new windows. Plus, right now, as they book for fall, Advanced Windows will give you $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. They build the windows, install the windows, and guarantee them for life. And since they're right here in Utah, if you have a problem years from now, just call them. They'll come over. Advanced Windows offers 0% financing, buy now, pay later. They're affordable. Get your new windows and get the energy savings before we get to winter. $2,500 off. Call them, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at VaxAssist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number biggest sale of the year. All beds on sale up to 50% off the limited edition smart bed, plus free premium delivery with any smart bed and adjustable base. Ends Labor Day. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Let's go back to Heather Kelly.
Well, we do have a crash northbound I-15 just after you pass 146 South in Bluffdale, but it's before you get to the Bangerter Highway exit. It is over on the left shoulder. There's not enough traffic right now to cause delays, but you may still see a few slowdowns up in the Layton area, both directions, where earlier the freeway was closed. Now all the lanes are open, traffic mostly at freeway speeds to that area, but you have scattered rain showers in a lot of areas, and anytime you have wet roads, that'll also slow people down. So just use caution moving between the different types of road conditions. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today. There's an active flash flood warning in the St. George Island and Washington County until 12:45 today for west central Kane County in southern Utah, east central Washington County in southwestern Utah. As far as the Salt Lake Valley right now, we've got rainy conditions, and it looks like we're going to have that for the next few days. 72 degrees and raining right now in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Okay, here's a blast from the past and something we haven't talked about or even thought about for a long time, the presidential fitness test. And I think it's interesting that the three of us talking before we started didn't have the best memories about the presidential fitness test.
I know.
It was established during the Eisenhower administration. It's changed a little bit over the years. Obama replaced it in favor of sort of improving overall health. Trump signed an executive order, which he does about every hour, that reviving the presidential fitness test. And I'll tell you, my own experience with it was I could never throw the softball far enough. There was always one part of it that and it was important to pass it. I had to pass that test, but I could never get that ball over the line.
I remember being in elementary school, and you had to climb a rope, right, and get up to the top and, touch the ceiling or something, and they timed you. I could never make it to the top. I never had enough arm strength to pull myself up, even in elementary school. And we have Lois Collins with us. And what was your experience, Lois?
So I was just thinking, I'm having like these horrible flashbacks. They're really
sorry.
painful. I remember grabbing the rope and then lifting my feet off the ground, hoping that would
count. Right.
Not great.
Lift you up.
So, Lois, why is this back in the news?
So when he signed the executive order, I started getting pitches from people saying, do you think that this is going to bring back more physical fitness in school, more recess, more PE, because those are the things that have been chopped away at. Every time we fall behind on our reading scores or our math scores, they take 10 minutes out of recess to do something that is supposed to boost that. And it's kind of ironic because the country that has probably the very best recess PE combination that really emphasizes those things also scores the best on all the tests, and that's Finland. And I was one of those people too. I've got to admit, I was somebody who thought, well, more math, less, more science, less running around, who cares? But the truth of the matter is research clearly shows that kids who have free play and also who have PE time do better in school. They're more alert, they're less restless, they're more focused, and it's actually an academic tool. It makes a difference. And when PE and recess go down, so do scores.
Is it focused, Lois, on grade school? Is that where we're talking about PE?
I'm not sure what. He has not released details on what he's going to do with the fitness test. And the fitness test is not the same as recess and PE either.
Right. That's what I was going to ask.
So there's a lot of concern that PE and recess will start sort of teaching to the test, okay, you're going to have to do 20 push-ups, you're going to have to do, so kids won't get free play. They will be doing those prescribed exercises, which we don't know what they are yet. In the past, it was the rope climb. It was like tug of war stuff.
Maybe.
It was sit-ups, curl-ups, whatever you call them. I was bad at all of them. I have wiped my memory clean. But there is real concern that it will be focused just on those things. And the other thing that is a little bit controversial is that to get the presidential award, you don't enter a healthy zone. You have to be in the top 15% of the country. You have to surpass the 85% level in order to get recognized. And there are going to be a lot of kids like me. It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter whether I'm good or bad at this. I'm not going to get it. So...
Yeah, right. So then you're grading on a curve, right? Which I never have been a fan of that one. Okay, so let me ask you you mentioned a couple of times free play. What is free play? What does that mean?
So that's when kids, and this happens not only at school, although it should happen at school, but it also happens at home or should happen at home. And that's when you run around and you explore and you chase butterflies and you make up your own games and you're out on the playground at recess and some kids are kicking a soccer ball and you're not. You've decided you would rather climb the rope course or go over the monkey bars or whatever. It's having some choice in what physical activity you're doing.
Lois, you did some interviews in connection with this article. People are generally in favor of this, educators and others looking at, hey, if we can increase recess, if we can get more kids out doing recess. You talked about the Finland, the country itself having that portion of their school actually helping academics. Is that what academicians here are saying as well?
They really hope that. They think that maybe the fitness test will increase the emphasis on physical fitness, but the people I talk to don't think that the fitness test itself is going to increase any of this stuff. They think it might change the focus a little bit, which is good. But most of the people that I talk to talk about how some states actually think this is so important that they protect it. It's in the law that kids have a certain amount of recess or PE or whatever. And other states let you do PE online.
Oh.
So I'm not quite sure how that works.
I was going to say, how do you do that?
I would have loved that if online had lived back when I was in school. But the truth of the matter is Utah is a state that really encourages recess and PE, but it doesn't have the same kind of mandates. You go to New Jersey and they say you can't take away recess from a kid as punishment because it's too important to his learning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. In fact, my daughter, so we have an almost 11-year-old, and she came home yesterday and she told me, she said I'm paraphrasing, we were too chatty as a class and we lost 3 minutes of recess.
Yep, that is a frequent punishment, and everybody that I talk to, and I talk to a lot of mental health experts, sports experts, all kinds of experts, said, do not do that, please.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That makes a lot of sense because you're punishing someone in a way that it actually backfires, I would think, because if you're punishing someone for not paying attention in class, maybe they do need to get out. They do need to have recess.
It's the same thing when you go into like a juvenile hall and you see that a kid gets referred for smoking and they give him a smoke break. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
So one of the things that was interesting when I was raising children with a variety of different needs, I would have them do exercises, sometimes jumping on a mini tramp or something, and I found, especially kids that are maybe a little more neurodivergent, that physical exercise associated with learning helped it stick better, right? If you could jump up and down while you learn your ABCs, it sticks.
Plus, kids are wired to move.
Yeah.
They're hardwired to move when they're young. And the other thing that leads to is that if you are not someone who has physical activity and knows how to play outside and stuff, then you don't do it as an adult either. Mm-hmm. So
you're talking about the executive order. We're almost out of time, but I guess the schools then have to look at how they're going to implement that into their protocols and their recesses, what they do at their individual.
At some point, I think first they need to hear what the Fitness Council actually says the fitness test is going to include. And nobody knows that yet. It's like a lot of executive orders where we're going to do this. figure it out.
Short on details.
We'll
Thanks
give
for
you the
joining
details
us.
later.
That was Lois Collins, writer with the Deseret News. So, look, if you're in the market for a car, you will want to make sure you are not buying one that has been in a flood, and there are thousands of them for sale in Utah. We'll learn more from KSL investigative reporter Matt Gebhardt. Next, we're streaming live on KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
Hey, Utah, it's the Waterboy, Colson Firmage, a third-generation Culligan man. Kent, did you hear that? That's the sound of clean, pure Culligan water.
I did, Colson, but that's not what's going to make a splash today. Today only, August 26th, Culligan Water has an exclusive deal for KSL listeners.
You mean that hard, funky-tasting water that's about to become a thing of the past?
Exactly. Today only, you can get a Culligan whole home system and save an incredible $1,500. A huge discount that gives you whole home filtration, water softener, and reverse osmosis.
$1,500? That means no more crusty faucets, no more spotty dishes, and no more worrying about what's in my drinking water?
Think of it. Healthy, pure, clean drinking water, cleaner laundry, and even softer skin and hair. This is the biggest deal we've ever offered, and it's only available today.
So if you're sick and tired of hard water and want to save some serious cash, what's the play, Kent?
You have to act fast. Call us at Culligan Water right now, 801-509-9602.
That's right, 801-509-9602. Or check us out at CulliganSLC.com. This one-day deal ends tonight.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word INBOX to 57500. That's INBOX to 57500.
Do you know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day? At Salt Lake City Fat Loss, we know the secret. Our doctor-developed, easy-to-follow weight loss program helps you lose weight fast, naturally, and safely with no drugs or injections. No prepackaged meals, bars, shakes, or exercising required. Our program helps reset your metabolism so you can lose weight quickly and keep the weight off for good with an easy-to-follow maintenance plan that includes ongoing personal support. And our program costs half as much and works up to twice as fast than most other programs. Go to slcfatloss.com to schedule your free consultation now.
I'm Maria Chaleos. I have lost more than 40 pounds quickly because it's simple to follow. Besides looking better and feeling more confident, I have more energy than I've had in years. Find out how you can do that at slcfatloss.com.
Many clients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month or two. That's up to a pound per day. Schedule your free consultation now at slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com. Results may vary.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, Visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
The new Inside Sources.
Utah's used car market is flooded with flooded cars, and apparently there are thousands of them on sale here in Utah. According to Carfax's M. Nguyen, there are as many as 7,000 flood-damaged cars here in Utah for sale.
You know, I have to share a personal experience because I have such a big family. We have lots of different experiences, but I went with an adult daughter. She was trying to buy her first car. We thought we found a good deal online, and we drove up to see the car. It looked great. And she went to the bank to get a loan, and the bank is like, well, this is a remade title, and this car's been in a flood. And we didn't even know. We didn't even know the right questions to ask. Yeah. And so we didn't buy that car. But I'm like, what? That's a dirty trick, man.
Well, maybe to help us know what questions to ask, we've got KSL investigative reporter Matt Gephardt. And Matt, the first question I have is, we don't really have a lot of floods here in Utah. Are these cars that are coming in from other states?
For the most part, yeah. By and large, they're cars that come in from other places. But we do have floods here. I mean, we have certainly in central Utah a lot of flash flooding, and it doesn't take much for a car to get underwater. You know, we've driven around when a storm drain is too full and a car goes through. I mean, if you drive through that, as long as it stays down by your wheels, you're okay probably. But it doesn't take a lot of water in the engine to do some damage.
So when you purchase a car that has a rebuilt title, that usually means to me it's been in a wreck, and you know that the damage was more than what it would have cost to what the car was worth. Is flood damage worse than structural damage?
It depends.
And I know that's a hard question.
No, and it depends. And there are people who swear by getting flood cars because they can get them so cheap. For the ones that, when the story largely focused on people buying them without knowing about it. But there are people who swear by it because, it's kind of like people who buy a cheap, disposable anything, cheap computer, cheap cell phone, cheap whatever, cheap bike. I'm just hoping to get a few months out of this, and then when the wheels fall off, so be it. And the trouble with flood damaged cars is it really very often is not apparent, and it may never materialize. But it's one of those things. Once these components in your engine are not designed to get wet, and so when water does get up in there, it starts to slowly kind of eat away at these things, and then that damage can suddenly leave you out of luck.
So one of the things that you pointed out in your story is that these titles are cleaned, right? Is that the right term for it?
Washed, cleaned,
Washed,
yeah.
cleaned. So
fraudulently manipulated, yes.
Right. So what does that actually mean?
Well, so
without going into how to do that, because you and I both know that plan.
Yeah, put your notepads away. So when your car is it's called the salvage title. So if your car at some point it's in your wreck is experiencing flood damage, and the rules can vary state to state a little bit about exactly what the branding looks like, but it's a branded title, and it's branded as it has been through this. And so what happens is once that brand is on there, the idea is that when the title is handed to you, you can look right at the thing and it's going to say, this car has been through some sort of trauma. It doesn't necessarily to tell you what it is. For that, you need a vehicle history report, but it'll tell you this car has been through some sort of trauma. The trick is when it's bought and sold and bought and sold and bought and sold, people lose titles. And so what you do is you go somewhere and you say, hey, I need to get a new title. And you find someone, you go to a state where maybe they take you at your word. Hey, was there anything on this title we should know about? And you go, yeah, maybe no. Or whatever the case may be to get these things clean. And then you end up with a title that doesn't have that branding on it. And so you end up, then reselling the car. So you buy the car for $5,000 because that's all it's worth. But if it hadn't been through a flood, maybe it's worth $15,000. So people go buy flooded cars, they wash the titles, and then they turn around and sell them to you, hoping you won't do your diligence and you'll pay too much.
Yeah, interesting.
I assume, Matt, that dealers have obligations to disclose information they know about a car, but an individual person-to-person buy that you find somebody on KSL.com or something probably doesn't have that same requirement.
I don't believe dealers do in the used car market.
Oh, really?
They are not allowed to lie to you. But as far as disclosures go, and a lot of reputable dealers will pull vehicle history reports. But as far as like what a dealer is required to disclose to you, no, the onus is on you on a used vehicle. It's very much true when it comes to things like recalls and stuff on a new vehicle. I bought a car not too long ago, and I couldn't drive it off the lot because there was an open recall on it, and we had to wait for that to get fixed. And I was like, oh, I'll bring it back because it was some silly recall, and it's nonsense. And it was like, I'll just bring it back. No, we can't even let you drive this thing off the lot until we fix that. But the same rules do not apply in the used car market.
Yeah, I would say that was my daughter's experience. It was a used car dealer. But I do have a question. So for consumers who, if the onus is on them, what are your best tips for knowing if the car has been in a flood?
I mean, my number one tip is, even if you think you know cars, unless you're a mechanic listening right now, go find a mechanic you trust. And have them kick the tires and have them. It's going to cost you $150 to give you a point to point. And the things they're going to look for are dirt and silt places where it shouldn't be. They're going to look in the glove box. They're going to look in the spare tire. They're going to check the battery connectors. That's one place where things frequently go bad in a flood situation, is those battery connectors. And they're going to kick the tires. And those are the things that they're going to look for. And then beyond that, I do recommend vehicle history reports. Be careful. There are scam companies that purport to sell vehicle history reports, and all they're doing is stealing your credit card number. Oh. So make sure you're dealing with a reputable vehicle history report number 2, but put the VIN in and see what it kicks out, because you can wash a title. A reputable vehicle history report, you can't wash that. It'll tell you. Sometimes those are wrong too. Sometimes people have been dinged for things that don't actually happen, but at least you can then choose to walk away or do some more homework on it.
So do you advise a buyer then to, I guess, if you go to a used car dealer or even an individual, you should have the right to take that car to your own mechanic and have him or her go through it before you purchase it?
100%.
Okay.
100%. And if the dealer or the individual is balking at that, don't walk away from the deal. Like, what is the problem here? And I understand where a seller might not want to. I don't know, right? We've done these deals before, right? Where if somebody said, "Hey, can I hand you give me the keys and I'll bring it back?" No, that's not going to happen. But if you're trying to, if you're this is the world of business. If they meet me at my mechanic, meet me down there at the Goodyear tire dealership, and we'll take the little test drive together, and then we'll have my mechanic go over it.
It seems like a lot of people assume in the used car market, at least, Matt, that it's sort of a let the buyer beware market. But that doesn't allow a dealer or anyone who's selling a car to misrepresent misrepresent anything that's happened to the car.
You may not commit fraud. You may not knowingly lie in order to do a business transaction. But the onus is not on a dealer or an individual seller to know everything about the car. That onus, with new cars, again, it's different with new cars. The onus is on dealerships to know. But with used cars, the onus is on the buyer to know, to do these things. And I would, again, say, many reputable car dealers in this state, and many of them do this without being asked because they don't want a bad reputation,
right?
And because they're not trying to rip off their customers. But the onus, legally speaking, the onus is not on them.
Were you surprised? I'm sorry. Were you surprised by the number of flooded cars that were on the market? The 7,000 number that we're hearing?
Yeah, I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. The first time I ever did this story, I was surprised because, as you pointed out, we don't have a ton of floods in Utah, so why are they all here? And the answer is because we don't have a floods in Utah, so this isn't something we're thinking about, right? Yeah. When you go buy a car, you're looking for the kinds of things that you worry about. In this state, you look for like the rust from the salt from the road or whatever. You're not necessarily thinking about floods, and so these floods happen in Hurricane Alley. They get washed. Based on previous reporting, seems like Montana is a hotbed for where they get washed.
Washing titles.
And I've heard Wyoming too, but not to impugn our neighbors to the north and east, but and then they end up in places like Idaho, like Utah, like Wyoming, where we're not thinking I should be checking the glove box for silt.
Right. So you're saying these cars, especially right now, are probably coming from like the Texas floods.
A lot of them. No question about it. Yeah, no question about it. Yep.
So buyer beware, but vehicle histories help level the playing field, I think.
Thanks, Matt.
Appreciate it.
Interesting.
Yeah, thanks
you don't
for joining
think
us.
about flooded cars in Utah, but it's something to be aware of. And you probably drive a car like that for a little while and recognize that the water has gotten in the engine or in the intake or something like that, and that can ultimately cause some serious damage. So thank you for joining us, Matt.
Thanks.
Last night, as you recall, 3rd District Judge Diana Gibson ruled that the Utah legislature unconstitutionally overrode the people's right to alter or reform their government and ordered them to draw new congressional maps before the end of September. More coverage on that after this break. Stay with us on News Radio, and remember you can stream us on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. A new report finds that the number of immigrants in the U.S. without authorization is growing significantly, including here in Utah. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
The Pew Research Center says the number of people unauthorized to be here, it's now upwards of 14 million. And in Utah, the number is 140,000. That's more than 4% of the state's population. Now, to get to these numbers, Pew, they included people who crossed a border illegally, people who overstayed visas, those whose legal status is up in the air, and there's even some asylum seekers.
All the data comes from surveys done in 2023. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump says he's firing a member of the Federal Reserve Board. More from ABC's Karen Travers.
We have heard the president criticize Fed Chair Jerome Powell and talking about him and trying to put pressure on him to lower interest rates. But now the president is taking this extraordinary step, saying he is firing a governor on the Federal Reserve Board, Lisa Cook, saying he's doing it for cause. The president in his social media post says he is doing this, accusing her of falsifying records to obtain favorable terms on a mortgage. The president writes, "I have determined there is sufficient cause to remove you from your position."
Cook has not been criminally charged and says she has no intention of leaving. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 8 points, the S&P is up 6 points. And coming up, showers and thunderstorms. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
You worked hard for your 401k, but if you've left your job, your money might be sitting in the wrong hands. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and it's very possible that the 401k that you have had for years has hidden fees and limited investment choices. But if you're no longer with the company, that 401k may be at the mercy of your former employer. All of these things could be costing you thousands. Rolling over your 401k into an IRA can provide better investment options that align with your long-term goals. At Trajan Wealth, we're fiduciary advisors that are held to a higher standard with no hidden agenda and no hidden fees. Don't let your retirement dollars sit in an old plan, and don't roll it over to your new plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services are offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Utah deserves better. If your lights flicker, breakers trip, or something just doesn't feel safe, the last thing you need is someone trying to tell you your electrical panel needs to be replaced, your house needs to be rewired, and you should probably rewire your neighbor's house too. But sadly, that's exactly what's happening since a lot of home service companies have been bought out by private equity groups that are focused on profits and not people. At Your Service Pros is different. We're Utah-based, family-owned, and built on trust, not quotas. That's why we offer a full electrical inspection for just $49. We'll check everything, your panel, wiring, outlets, grounding, and give you an honest report. If it's safe, we'll say so. If it's not, we'll explain exactly what needs to be done and help you fix it the right way, without pressure. We've served Utah families for over 20 years, and we're proud of the 4.9-star rating from people who trust us to do things right. So call out Your Service Pros today at 801-YOUR-PRO to schedule your $49 electrical inspection. That's 801-YOUR-PRO, because Utah deserves better.
Healthcare with human kindness is here. It's at Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Together, we have a common purpose, partnering with you in health and healing using powerful medicine, powerful technology, and the greatest power of all, human kindness. You'll know it when you see it, because human kindness is in every care site and in every caregiver. Common Spirit Health. Hello, human kindness.
This Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from noon to 3 as the movie show stops by. Then, browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes a new inventory every day. Then, they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. You're invited to visit the movie show this Friday from noon to 3. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Here's Heather Kelly.
We've got a crash on the 201 freeway. It's actually right at the bottom of the connecting ramp, that transition ramp from northbound I-215 to take that cloverleaf that'll take you westbound 201 freeway. All those vehicles are over on the right shoulder, but it's just slowing people down even more than they normally are as they come around that bend. And then we've got a crash northbound I-15 in Roy. It's right at the exit ramp to 5600 South. It is over on the left side of the freeway behind some construction barrels. Good news is there's not enough traffic there to slow anybody down. Advanced Window Products, $2,500 off 10 windows or more. AdvancedWindows.com, affordable windows guaranteed. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 80 today with scattered showers and thunderstorms through the afternoon. That continues tomorrow with a high of 82 and cloud coverage until the weekend. Right now it is 72 and rainy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit House Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
It's been over a year since the Utah Supreme Court ruled that the Utah legislature overstepped its boundaries when it disregarded the Redistricting Commission report and recommendations on how to redistrict the state. So the rules, the districting setup that's in place right now, according to a judge yesterday, a trial court judge, is unconstitutional and needs to be changed, and she ordered that those boundaries need to be changed within 30 days. So if you recall, there was a ballot initiative in 2018, citizen initiative to create this redistricting commission to make some proposals. The legislature largely disregarded those, created their own districts, and a lawsuit was filed. That lawsuit now seems to be weighing heavily in favor of the plaintiffs. The judge actually gave them what they asked for, and we've heard from a lot of people today that it's probably going to go up to the Utah Supreme Court. But we're talking about Utah Constitution, not federal Constitution, for the most part, in deciding to what extent citizens have the right to weigh in on laws and how much deference the legislature needs to give them.
Right. Well, one of the things that the judge yesterday said is that with the passage of Proposition 4 in 2018, is it did give the Utah legislature the ability to reject all of the maps that were proposed, but if they were to redo their own maps, which is what they did, they had to follow the guidelines that were in Proposition 4. So that was a ballot initiative. It didn't pass by a large percentage, but it did pass, right? And remember that we live in a state where you win elections by 50% plus one, which means you have just barely over half of the votes. And some, some races are even that close. But in this issue, it was hundreds of votes, thousands, I think, actually. But percentage-wise, it wasn't huge. But there were guidelines laid out that the legislature was supposed to follow, and they didn't. And so the judge is like, if you redraw the maps, then you have to follow these guidelines.
And I think a lot of people don't understand what a ballot initiative is, but often, or at least occasionally, the citizens can get together.
Right.
They can pass and vote on, statewide, a ballot initiative to create law all by itself. So the legislature is in place to do that all the time, and the legislature is saying, look, you guys put us in place to pass laws. Why are you doing it yourselves? But the Utah Constitution allows that if the citizens really feel strongly about an issue that the legislature may not be addressing in a way that the citizens feel is appropriate, we can go to the ballot box and create these ballot initiatives. They don't happen as often as some legislators might make you feel. I've heard them say we don't want to become California, where there's 30 ballot initiatives every year. We're not there. We probably will never.
The bar is very high.
Probably will never be there because they're difficult and they're you've got to get the word out to the citizens, and I'm sure they're expensive too.
Yeah, so they are really expensive. So that's one of the issues, right? One of the things that I'm concerned about too is you see this backlash already online with some Utah Republican lawmakers saying they want to see this judge impeached and removed from office.
Yeah, I mean, that's another one of those, don't punish the messenger.
Well,
but, we have judges in place. And think about this. There is no judge in Utah who's sitting today who was appointed by a Democrat.
I know, yeah.
Every judge in Utah was appointed by a Republican governor and confirmed by a Republican Senate, including the judge that issued the ruling yesterday, who was approved unanimously by a Republican and Senate.
Republican-dominated Senate, but she was approved. She was appointed by Gary Herbert when he was the governor and approved 24-0 by the Utah Senate. So it's a little bit disingenuous, but it's also concerning to me to see the immediate backlash is remove the judge, remove her from office because she's obviously an activist.
Yeah, we interviewed Taylor Morgan earlier today, partner of Morgan May Affairs, and he said this is an especially exciting time for Utah politics.
For so long in my career here in Utah politics, the legislature has been sued countless times on issues like this, and the court has ruled in favor of the legislature so many times, and I can't recall any other time in Utah politics when the courts have so consistently, repeatedly checked the legislature's power and questioned their decisions. So whether or not you like this, boy, what a time in politics here in Utah, so much happening.
It is a good study in civics, and I think that people need to understand, especially in Utah and even nationally, but in Utah, we have this supermajority of Republicans in the legislature.
Right.
And I know you served in the legislature, but there's almost no check and balance on that. I mean, they're veto-proof even with respect to the governor.
Yeah, that's true. But, remember, we're supposed to have these co-equal branches of government. So you've got executive, which is the governor on the state level. You've got the judiciary, and you've got the legislature. So one of the things that I think we saw earlier this year where there were decisions that were made last year by the Utah Supreme Court, and then in 2025, the legislative session, there were attempts at bills to say, well, we're going to restrict your power and we're going to choose, several different things on how to weigh in about judges. Anyway, one of the things that the judge said in her ruling yesterday, and it was 76 single-spaced pages, right? It was a long detailed ruling, but she said that that citizens can be co-equal creators of legislation in the state of Utah. So we had Laura Laura, from Mormon Women for Ethical Government, and she said that public interest is really an extremely powerful tool.
This ruling just represents what can happen when people across political bounds, when voters come together and use the constitutional right to reform their government. And Utahns did so. They felt, as a Utah value, we want constituents to be able to choose their politicians and not the other way around, came together across political boundaries and voted for Proposition 4. And then the Utah court last night came down and interpreted our Constitution as they should in favor of Utah voters, and it's such a victory for us.
Yeah, that was Laura A. We also had Senator Todd Weiler who joined us, and he said, and I think he's absolutely correct, this debate is far from over.
I think that there are several areas of her decision that are that will be tested on appeal. And my message to you this morning is this is far from over. I will be surprised if this decision is not put on hold through a stay, either issued by Judge Gibson or the Utah Supreme Court.
He also explained his biggest criticism of the ruling.
But she's taken a lot of time to issue this decision and has given the legislature only 30 days now to react. And she's preserved another month plus on the back end because the lieutenant governor says she needs the maps by November 1st to put them in place for next year. And so if you read the law, the legislature is supposed to put out these maps 10 days before they vote on them and get public comment. And so if that public process were to be respected, she's really only given us 20 days when she herself has taken almost 9 months or, over 8 months this year and 13 months since, she got the case back from the Supreme Court. And so how convenient that the judge gets all of this time and then the legislature gets, basically 3 weeks. So that's my biggest criticism of the process.
And we interviewed a lot of people who were back and forth on this entire thing. When we come back, Salt Lake City police are asking for people to come forward with new information on a 30-year-old murder investigation of Rosie Tapia, who was 6 years old when she was kidnapped and murdered in 1995. The big question, why now? We'll have Salt Lake City Police Department on the line next. And remember, we are streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
Hey, Utah, it's the Waterboy, Colson Firmage, a third-generation Culligan man. Kent, did you hear that? That's the sound of clean, pure Culligan water.
I did, Colson, but that's not what's going to make a splash today. Today only, August 26th, Culligan Water has an exclusive deal for KSL listeners.
You mean that hard, funky-tasting water that's about to become a thing of the past?
Exactly. Today only, you can get a Culligan whole home system and save an incredible $1,500. A huge discount that gives you whole home filtration, water softener, and reverse osmosis.
$1,500? That means no more crusty faucets, no more spotty dishes, and no more worrying about what's in my drinking water?
Think of it. Healthy, pure, clean drinking water, cleaner laundry, and even softer skin and hair. This is the biggest deal we've ever offered, and it's only available today.
So if you're sick and tired of hard water and want to save some serious cash, what's the play, Kent?
You have to act fast. Call us at Culligan Water right now, 801-509-9602.
That's right, 801-509-9602. Or check us out at CulliganSLC.com. This one-day deal ends tonight.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit info kit. 800-486-9600. That's 800-486-9600.
I am not a rich woman, but I feel like a rich woman every time I go in my closet. The best, hands down, present I've ever received was my husband secretly redid my closet with Closets by Design. So now when I go in there aren't all these shoes just junked on the floor. They're neatly sitting on their shelves. And my necklaces are hanging on their individual hooks, and earrings are in their little squares in this soft drawer that pulls out. It's just gorgeous. In fact, he saw how much I loved it. He had Closets by Design redo the garage. So now all the stuff, the tools, the toys, the junk is all in cabinets. When you open our garage door, you see cars. That's it. It's amazing. The things that Closets by Design can do, and it's going to save you money right now because you get up to 40% off plus an additional 15% off with 18-month financing. You can do so much with your closet, much more than you realize, with this wonderful Utah company, Closets by Design. Find out more at 1-800-BY-DESIGN or closetsbydesign.com.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for kids, teens, or young adults. It's just not.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals and volatile organic compounds into your body.
And nicotine.
the same highly addictive substance found in regular cigarettes.
Nicotine can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s,
affecting learning, memory, attention, and impulse control, and priming the brain for other addictions.
Vaping products also come in kid-friendly flavors that can make them appealing to youth.
And many kids also use other drugs, like marijuana, in vaping devices.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media,
many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping, because when you talk, they hear you.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Inside Sources.
30 years ago this month, 6-year-old Rosie Tapia was taken from her home on 16th West and 16th South here in Salt Lake City. She was taken across the street to the banks of the nearby Jordan River. She was assaulted and then murdered. That murder, Holly, has remained unsolved for 30 years, and it's literally the 30-year anniversary of that. Salt Lake City Police Department has not given up on that. They've got a cold case team looking at it and revising or revitalizing, I guess, the interest in that case.
Yeah, it's one of the cases I remember hearing about, and then I guess, like many people, didn't really think about it. But of course, Rosie's mom would have thought about it for all these years. And it's interesting, I think, to talk about some of these cases that are being looked at another time.
Yeah, we've been talking about cold cases and what's happened with those. We had someone talking to us the other day about Weber County has so many, and they're looking
There's
at
10
10
of them.
There's a new
podcast, Utah Cold Cases.
Yeah, they're sad, and I worked at the DA's office. We would have cases that were on the books for years and years and years, and it's hard to get interest in those cases. It's hard to get something new to come along. I mean, sometimes you'll have DNA or some swab or something that was found at the scene, and the CSI, what we're learning now in terms of forensics that were not available to us 20, 30, 40 years ago are coming into play now and hopefully helping us solve some of these crimes.
Well, we have on the line with us Salt Lake City Police Department Detective Michael Ruff. Can you just tell us a little bit more about this case, Detective?
Yeah, so, we've been working this for 30 years and kind of haven't really been able to get anywhere. We're hoping somebody out there knows something. We're looking for a couple of teenage boys. Back then, they'd be in their 40s or 50s now that were seen by a witness in the Tapia apartment the night before without the permission of her parents. So we're hoping somebody knows who they are and can give us that information that maybe we'll push this case forward.
Mike, there really is somebody like that out there, and all you really need is someone who can say, you know what, I remember that now, and I remember something about that to give you just a little spark where your people can follow up on the investigation, correct?
Absolutely. Technology is great, and we hear a lot about technology solving cases, but so many of these cases, it is literally just some small piece of information that somebody knows that ends up leading us to further investigative leads. So we know somebody probably out there that has that information, and we're hoping they'll come forward and give that to us.
So why right now? Why bring this up again right now?
We never stop with these cases. The term cold case for us is a little bit of a misnomer. Our detectives never stop working these cases. We continually have a new detective look at them. And in this case, we have something now where, for whatever reason, we're at that point where we can release this information and hopefully spur something on. And that's what we're hoping to do, is get that information. And we never rest on these cases till we can provide some closure for the family.
And Detective Ruff, you've been around a little bit. You know that technology has increased and changed, and that these cases, even though they become cold cases, there's always something, there's always someone, there's always some piece of evidence, there's something out there that can maybe refresh somebody's recollection or give the police a little more evidence. And that's really what you're looking at in these reopening, or at least not reopening because it's never been closed, these revitalization, I guess, of these cases.
Yeah, there's always something there. It's sometimes just finding what that little piece is, or getting it to somebody in the community that may not have heard about this case before. I think sometimes you fall into that trap of everybody knows about these cases, but they do have a hard time getting attention, and we don't want to let that happen. And we're hoping this will reach somebody who may not have heard about this before and go, hey, I know something, and that could lead us to hopefully providing closure for Rosie's family.
What can you tell us about the two teens in question?
So we believe they were 16 to 20 years old. They were seen drinking in the apartment. We have some information that they may have been affiliated with the 21st Street gang at that point. Again, it's been 30 years. So what were 16 to 20-year-olds are now in their 40s or 50s. They had slender builds, Hispanic teenage males is what we've got. So not a lot to go on, but we're hoping somebody from that apartment complex or that community may remember these boys being at that apartment and be able to provide us with more information so we can identify them and speak with them.
And like the police department detective, her family has never given up on this either, and they're still interested in anything that could be done to help solve this homicide, correct?
Absolutely, and we just met with the family here a week or two ago out near the apartment where this occurred 30 years ago. I think the anguish for a family is by far something that we can't understand, and that's why we want to bring this closure. We are the ones that have to live with that anguish, but our detectives do definitely feel the pain that our families go through that are still around, and we want to help provide that closure if we can. That's something that's very important to our detectives.
So in 2019, I understand that there was something about a Barbie that you were hoping would maybe spark some new leads. What was it about the Barbie?
There have been things that have been left at Rosie's grave, or things that have been found that we've obviously tested. Unfortunately, none of those have panned out. Nothing has provided us with information. And obviously a lot's changed in the way that we investigate crime scenes in the last 30 years. So some of the technological advances are great, but we may not have anything actually to use them on just because things were done differently back then. They had no way of knowing what we would get in 2025. So we're hoping that somebody knows something that may lead us to being able to actually process more evidence or find more evidence so we can move this case forward.
We're speaking this morning with Salt Lake City Police Detective Michael Ruff. And Detective, can you tell us, you mentioned a minute ago that you talked to her family. Is that something that happens routinely, or I don't know, that's probably not the right word, that periodically when you've got these cold cases that the family will just call and say, hey, can we just get an update? Can we just talk to you? Can we kind of see where the case is right now and maybe spur a little more interest on?
Yeah, certainly. We always encourage anybody who is the family of our victims to reach out to us. We try to do that as well. We try to stay in touch as much as we can. Obviously, as these cases go further and further on, there may not be updates to provide, and we certainly don't want to provide any sense of false hope, but we do want all of these families to know we don't stop working these cases. We just had one here a couple months ago, Christine Gallegos, that we were able to actually provide that closure and determine who actually killed her 40 years ago. It doesn't obviously provide a prosecution. In that case, the individual was dead, but we were able to provide that family with some more information and closure, and we hope to do that with every family we have that has a cold case.
So if anybody has any information, what do they do with that information? How do they get a hold of you?
So they can call our dispatch 801-799-3000, or there is a link on our website to the news release that we put out about this information that can actually provide you. It's called City Protect. It's just you fill that information online, and it can be done anonymously. You can also do it anonymously through dispatch. So anybody can reach out those two ways, and that information will get to our detectives.
Thanks for joining us this morning. That was Salt Lake City Police Department Detective Michael Ruff. And I'll say, people talk to me about, well, what about the statute of limitations? There is no statute of limitations on homicide.
Yeah.
That case can be prosecuted anytime, even if the perpetrators come forward or found decades from now. And let's hope it's sooner than that, because if you can't even imagine what a parent must be going through in something like that, because they always want to know what was going on. I mean, what was it about this little 6-year-old girl that caused these people to do such a horrible thing to her?
Right. It's I think not only is there technology, as he pointed out, but sometimes there just isn't that ability to use technology in this case. It really is, or at least not yet, but it really is human information, right? And that somebody knows something. And, when we had a conversation last week about cold cases, one of the things that stuck out to me is that, what was existing at the time may be different now. Maybe there are people who feel more able to speak up who didn't feel like they were able to speak up at the time. There may be somebody who feels like maybe they were under threat or something, that now they can come forward and they can speak up. So I'm hoping that that's the case for Rosie's family.
Yeah, and one thing I've learned in my 40-some years of practicing law is that people who engage in this type of misconduct are haunted by it. I mean, it's bothering
they should
somebody.
Be.
Somebody's bothered every day by this, and maybe not to the point where they're ready to come clean, But you've got to search your soul at some point and say, boy, what I did was a horrible thing, and you've got to live with it, or you've got to own it. And somebody's out there that's not owning it. And let's hope that somebody comes forward and either confesses to something they did, or that somebody who saw something or recognized something can say, hey, I remember this now, and get the city back on the
Or that somebody said something at some point, right? I mean,
because that did happen. Somebody did say something. There is
Yeah.
somebody out there that knows about this who may not have been involved in it, and they just need to come forward.
Yeah, interesting. So when we come back, we actually have an opportunity to talk to Senate President Taylor Randall. University of Utah President. My mind is on politics. So school's back in session. And we have actually had a lot of discussion on this show about school, people going back to school. That includes college students. And we're going to talk about a return on investment for students who are attending college with University of Utah President Taylor Randall when we come back. Stay with us on KSL News Radio.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Verl Johansson. KSL's top local story this hour. If you're falling behind on paying your debt, you're not alone. New research finds late payments increased 109% year over year. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has details.
The data comes from the credit score company Vantage Score. They found even those with the absolute highest credit scores are starting to fall behind paying off their debt. They say car loans and mortgages are taking the biggest hit, with people not paying on time.
It's even worse in Utah, where the average person owed $19,000 more in debt than other Americans last year. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. California officials have dismantled a large-scale retail theft ring that was targeting Home Depot stores in the state.
Called Operation Kill Switch, prosecutors in Ventura County say they have dismantled the biggest organized retail theft ring in Home Depot history. Over 600 thefts at 71 different Home Depot stores around Southern California, allegedly led by the owner of a store that would resell breakers, switchers, dimmers, and outlets. Ventura County Sheriff Jim Freihoff says those items that were not sold at the store were sold online.
Helped by selling stolen merchandise online through eBay.
14 people have been arrested. Alex Stone, ABC News.
In other national news, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are engaged. After 2 years of dating, the pop star and the Chiefs football tight end posted on Instagram that they're getting married. In the announcement post, they included a photo of a ring, a gold band with a large rectangle diamond. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 29 points, 27 points now. S&P up 7, the NASDAQ up 35. And coming up, rain is here to stay. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
I didn't just lose 82 pounds in 16 weeks. I lost fear. I lost shame. I lost that nagging voice in my head that told me I couldn't do it. I thought weight loss meant being hungry or miserable. Soda showed me something different. I wasn't starving. I wasn't white-knuckling it throughout the day. I was learning. I was eating real food, texting my nutritionist when I had a question or hit a wall. People asked if I do it again, and I tell them I do it twice. Because when I got back, my energy, my focus, my sense of control, this isn't about fitting into skinny jeans. It's about showing up for life. Go to sodaweightloss.com. Click the Request Your Nutritionist callback. SOTA, it stands for State of the Art. SodaWeightLoss.com. You can do this. You know how I know you can do it? Man, I did it. And I like to eat. SodaWeightLoss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You've built the dream, the home, the lifestyle, the legacy. Now it's time your windows and doors reflect that same $1 million standard. Whether you're designing a stunning custom home or upgrading the one you've loved for years, Peach Doors and Windows is here to bring that vision to life with precision, style, and craftsmanship.
The Peach specialty? High-end custom windows and doors that don't just fit your space, they elevate it. From sleek modern lines to timeless elegant finishes, they offer the kinds of craftsmanship that truly complements a $1 million space. And with Peach, the process is easy. No pressure, no gimmicks, just knowledgeable experts helping you find solutions to turn your someday project into right now.
Visit their spacious showroom, get inspired, and create something beautiful together. Peach Doors and Windows for the $1 million home you live in and the $1 million feeling you deserve. Visit peachdoorsandwindows.com or call 801-566-1255 today.
That's Peach Windows and Doors. Give them a call, 801-566-1255.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, for the first time all morning long, we're pretty much delay-free on all the major freeways across the Wasatch Front. No slowdowns on I-15 northbound or southbound throughout Utah, Salt Lake, and Davis counties, or on the east and west side belt routes. Crews are still cleaning up a crash on the connecting ramp from northbound I-215 to head west on the 201 freeway. It's down at the bottom of that ramp, over on the right shoulder, so not really causing any issues. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
A wave of thunderstorms has spread across the state today, bringing some much-needed rain. Today's high just 80 degrees. Temperatures are going to stay in the low 80s as storms stick around through Wednesday and Thursday. Right now, mostly cloudy and 73 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Burl Johansson from the KSL Common Spirit House studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
We spent a lot of time over the last couple of weeks talking about school getting back in session, and this week I think the universities all started back, which means my alma mater.
And one of mine.
The University of Utah is back in session. That's right. We both went to the University of Utah. I went there for undergrad and law school. You went there and got your PhD.
That's right.
And we love all our Utah schools. Love them all. But I'm still a Utah man. And so since it's back in session, a lot of people are wondering, well, what's going on at the university? What's going on at our colleges and universities around the state? And we are lucky to have with us University of Utah President Taylor Randall joining us.
Hi, President.
Holly, Greg, how are you guys today? You need to be on campus today doing this show. The energy is palpable. It's just amazing. I'm headed up to the Plaza Palooza in just a second. And don't ask me what that's going to be, but a little bit of fun. Let me just say that.
It's so much fun. Look, the beginning of the school year is always fun, even if you're old like me when you go back to school. It is really fun. So tell us, what are your priorities, President, for this coming year, this coming academic year?
One of our big goals this year was to keep growing the university. We are trying to expand access to education, and I'm thrilled to report that we actually have the largest first-year class in the history of the University of Utah. It'll likely be over 7,000 students when everything settles down. So that was a major goal. The second is we are trying to increase retention and graduation rates. And both of those things actually occurred this year with this incoming class and also the graduations that occurred over the summer. So it's really exciting to see more people graduating and getting into the workforce.
Are we having more students on campus? I mean, after COVID, or at least during COVID, President, we had a lot of students who were studying remotely. I think people got a little complacent with that. But just for my own purposes, when I went to the University of Utah, the part of the joy of it was being on campus. Are you doing things to get more students up on the campus?
We are. Greg, what year did you graduate? I can probably tell you how many dorms were up here the year you graduated.
Engineering 79, law school 82.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
There would have been like 500 beds. We have over 6,000 this year, and in fact, we were able to guarantee everybody in the freshman class that wanted to live on campus a spot. and we did. If they let us know before May, which was actually amazing. So one of the things we're doing to get folks on campus is they are living here. We opened up some more dorms in partnership with Clark Ivory. It's called the Ivory House. There are about 500 more dorms. Next year, there will be another 1,200 beds. And so what you've got is just a completely different environment with 6,000 students living right here on campus. There was an event this last weekend in one of our fields where there was a massive slip and slide and a water fight. I'm telling you, it's a student's dream.
So I do have to say that dorm, you missed an opportunity to call it the Ivory Tower.
Yeah. We're just not feeling that kind of things is welcoming, Holly. But I will call you on the name of the next one. I don't think we have a name on the next one yet.
Okay, look, I know I feel like higher ed has been under fire, and I don't feel like it's fair, actually. I think there's great value in higher ed. But what are you doing to feel like you can either message or help people understand that higher education has a strong return on investment for students?
First of all, you got to make sure you're standing on a rock. And if you look at all of the data, right, it continues to show that higher education has financial returns for individuals. And we're really excited about that. For students that are coming in, we are hyper-focused on extreme affordability. We rolled out a brand new textbook program where you essentially can get your textbooks for free this year. And so we're just, again, reducing the cost. But on the flip side, we're also just trying to make this a huge value creation engine, not only for individual students, but for the entire state. We are only one of 10 universities in this country that actually has a healthcare system attached to it, has this massive research mission, and also we graduate students. And if you think about what you can do in an economy with those three things put together, it's just really, really amazing.
President Randall, we spoke a week or so ago with someone who was talked about a number of programs that had been cut back at the U of U, and these were programs that either had like one or no people graduate or be part of those for several years. So it wasn't like it was something that was a major part of the curriculum. But what led to the decision to cut those back?
We have had some extremely productive dialogues with state leaders and those that give us dollars to educate the state. And what was productive about these dialogues is we all agreed on a clear vision of where programs needed to go, where we needed to invest with the state. And so what we were able to do is kind of look at areas of the university where we could trim and reapportion dollars into other areas. We're thrilled that we made it through, I think, the first legislative hurdle last week. In fact, all of the institutions in the state did. And I think this is going to be just a productive thing that will actually create, more nurses, more engineers, more individuals that really are going to do well in our state.
So I have a question, of course, as somebody who got a degree in political science from the University of Utah at the PhD level. What do you see as the value of humanities education?
Oh my goodness, I think now is the actual time for the humanities, right? If you think about and you are a political scientist, so I probably ought to be asking you questions. But if you think about the sophisticated dialogue that needs to go on in society, right, a better understanding of how government works, how other systems work, so that we can actually create the society that we want, much of that comes out of the social behavioral sciences and humanities. And in fact, in this reallocation, right, we did set some dollars aside for an initiative on federalism, but also what we call, dialogue in our curriculum, where we actually set up courses in our general ed and our humanities classes where you actually learn to debate different sides with, of course, dignity as you're doing it.
Let me ask you one last question. We've only got a minute, but the answer to this is a 20-minute answer. But what is the university's position in the field of artificial intelligence right now?
We are leaning into a concept called responsible artificial intelligence, which means we believe that it can actually enhance the way we live, enhance the way we do work, enhance the way we learn. But we also recognize at the same time, right, like any technology, you've got to use it in the right way.
Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you'll do that again. It was University President Taylor Randall coming on to talk to us about back to school and humanities and their position with AI.
And he did have to remind me that I graduated there almost 50 years ago.
It's been a minute.
It's been a little while.
Been a
I only had a few dorms. Now we have a lot more.
Yeah, it's so super interesting. Look, when we come back after the break, we have to switch gears because we have some big news. Taylor Swift is engaged to Travis Kelce. Woo woo! And KSL's own Taylor Swift correspondent is going to come join us and break down just how big of a deal this is, coming up next.
Hey, Utah, it's the Waterboy, Colson Firmage, a third-generation Culligan man. Kent, did you hear that? That's the sound of clean, pure Culligan water.
I did, Colson, but that's not what's going to make a splash today. Today only, August 26th, Culligan Water has an exclusive deal for KSL listeners.
You mean that hard, funky-tasting water that's about to become a thing of the past?
Exactly. Today only, you can get a Culligan whole home system and save an incredible $1,500. A huge discount that gives you whole home filtration, water softener, and reverse osmosis.
$1,500? That means no more crusty faucets, no more spotty dishes, and no more worrying about what's in my drinking water?
Think of it. Healthy, pure, clean drinking water, cleaner laundry, and even softer skin and hair. This is the biggest deal we've ever offered, and it's only available today.
So if you're sick and tired of hard water and want to save some serious cash, what's the play, Kent?
You have to act fast. Call us at Culligan Water right now, 801-509-9602.
That's right, 801-509-9602. Or check us out at culliganslc.com. This one-day deal ends tonight.
Respiratory virus season is quickly approaching, meaning we'll see more flu, COVID, and RSV in our community. The good news is vaccines are available that will help prevent these infections and keep people healthy. For flu and COVID, everyone aged 6 months and older are recommended to be vaccinated to help protect ourselves and our families against serious illness. Fall remains the best time to be vaccinated. Respiratory viruses circulate year-round, but peak late fall through winter. Your doctor can recommend which vaccines are best for you and your family.
Brought to you by Intermountain Health and KSL News Radio.
At Intermountain Health, we believe life is a circle. May yours surround you with insight, a healthy perspective, trust, and reassurance. The belief that our differences aren't that different, and compassion just when you need it most. Life is a circle. May yours help you live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Health.
Lowe's has the Labor Day deals you need to give your home a new look. Buy one, get one free select interior paint via Visa gift card rebate. Then, add the final touch with 2 for $8 on select 2.5 or 3-quart mums. Refresh your home and save big while doing it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 9/3. Mums offer in-store only. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for details.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and skip the regular line at the airport and pay for speedy security. Imagine not having to quickly unpack and pack at the place you already came packed to. And wearing your shoes the whole time you're there? You can't put a price on that kind of luxury. Well, actually you can, and you paid for it. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time for speedy security. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Since its founding in 1949, Grand Canyon University has offered diverse programs in education, sciences, business, music, fine arts, and nursing, and continues to be known for producing skilled teachers, nurses, and healthcare professionals. Senior University Development Manager Raymond Lauderdale joins us with more.
Grand Canyon University now offers an accelerated Bachelor of Science in Nursing program at our learning site in Sandy, Utah. Designed for individuals with at least 60 transferable college credits or a non-nursing bachelor's degree. This program blends online coursework with hands-on skills labs, immersive simulations, and clinical rotations at respected healthcare facilities across the region. With 3 start dates a year, you can begin your nursing journey on a flexible and convenient schedule. Grand Canyon University's accredited ABSN program is built on a Christian worldview and emphasizes ethical practice, professionalism, compassionate care, and critical thinking, preparing you to make a real impact in the field. For more information or specific details on nursing program accreditation and university approvals, visit the Grand Canyon University Salt Lake City website at gcu.edu/Salt Lake City to learn more.
Grand Canyon University is committed to addressing workforce needs, expanding access to quality education, and partnering with local communities, helping meet the growing demand for dedicated healthcare professionals in Utah and beyond. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Hi, Grandma. Can Nina come over for dinner?
Sure. I've been meaning to ask you, what would happen if someone offered you a drink?
Grandma?
If anyone ever does, I want you to say, no, I have too much respect for my family and I don't want to get in trouble.
I promise, Grandma.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. That's underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. This message brought to you by SAMHSA and this station.
And expanded Inside Sources.
We do have breaking news, and I don't know how important this is, but to certain people it's very important. To others, maybe myself included, not so much. But this is big news for Swifties. Confession, I've never heard that song before, but I think it's by Taylor Swift.
Okay, look, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are engaged. It is huge, huge news. And we have Caitlin Johnson, KSL News Radio's Taylor Swift correspondent, probably by her own self-definition.
Yes, I will say. I was sort of given that title when the Eras Tour was huge, and I, did a lot of coverage just for whoever asked me here because I just know things about Taylor Swift. So
look,
this is exciting. I don't know.
Look, I just have to look on Instagram because that's where it was announced 49 minutes ago. 7.2 million likes.
Yeah. Big
in
news.
49 minutes, going up by hundreds of thousands every minute.
Yes. So I will help all the listeners out there. Like, why do I care about this? Maybe you don't. It's okay. And Greg, by the way, that song is a song that Taylor wrote on her last album, which was an extremely depressing album. And that was the happiest song on the album about Travis Kelce. So it's just, there's a significance there. But just, as context, Taylor Swift is an artist. She writes about her life all the time. And for someone who's been following her for so long, we've seen the rough relationship. She's written about these relationships, and the reason she has such a strong fan base is she writes about very relatable things. She's kind of put our feelings into words for us. And so from going from the Tortured Poets Department album, singing about I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, Down Bad Crying at the Gym, things like that. Just, it was a very depressing album about her love life.
Yeah.
To this today, it's very significant, and I feel like there's just a lot of people who are just extremely happy for her, and that's how I'm feeling and why it is blowing up on Instagram, because for so long this has been something that I feel like she deserves it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So maybe no one deserves to be with Taylor Swift, but what can you say about Travis Kelce? I know that he plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's won a couple Super Bowls. I think he's their tight end. And she's been with him for a couple years because I know she's attended at least the last couple of Super Bowls up in the
Well, what I can tell you from a Swifties perspective, I don't know a lot about him from the sports perspective.
Okay.
But however, what I will say is when he has a podcast called New Heights, and she just joined his podcast. This is a very significant deal. She does not do interviews anymore, and she does not do podcasts. She's never done a podcast. So when I saw that she was going to join this podcast, I kind of knew that he was quote-unquote endgame. Swifties will get what I mean by that. Before this. That's a big deal that she is giving this exclusive to him. She is giving us 2 hours of content to just sit and talk. And for those who haven't seen the podcast, I'm not going to force anyone to go watch it, whatever. But if you want an inside look at Taylor Swift and who she is as a human and outside of the artist, that's a really good look into her life and her relationship with Travis. She seems comfortable. She seems safe. And it was just, they were just hanging out and enjoying each other's company and all of that. So this is why I just feel very happy for her, and the significance is that this has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's Taylor Swift.
I think she's
lyric that I didn't even mean to say.
That's funny.
It's one of her
She's like 32, right?
35.
35.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't challenge Caitlin. She knows everything.
I know.
I don't know if I know
You've
everything.
even got pictures
but-
of her on your desk. You got little
Well, it's because one of my birthdays they made it Taylor Swift theme. But there are many Swifties that are much deeper down the Taylor Swift rabbit hole, but I definitely pay attention.
So look, why did you know that this meant marriage when she went on that podcast?
Well, the podcast specifically, just because she gave him that exclusive, and she is somebody who doesn't bring men on red carpets. She's not defined by her relationship. Well, I guess people can make her defined by her relationships, but that's not something she's always been, true to herself in that way. So when she gave that exclusive to him, I was just like, this is very significant. Like, she's not just going to do that for a man anytime.
What's interesting to me is that he's famous in his own right, and I'm not a huge sports follower, but one of the things that I thought was funny when she would show up to watch him play, right, it would be like, oh, Taylor Swift is going to watch her boyfriend play, right?
Yeah,
it wasn't Travis Kelce's playing this big game, right? It's like, no, Taylor Swift is here to watch her boyfriend.
Yeah. Which I would say blame the NFL for that and all the times that the cameras put her and other celebrities.
Yeah.
I don't mind the 5 seconds that she's on the screen, but that's the NFL's fault. And it's football season. She's about to be back.
Yeah,
just a warning to all the football players. But no, I feel like this is significant, and I just like I said, been a long time coming.
All right.
Holly, you were following the likes to that.
Oh, yeah.
Are we up to 1,000 yet?
I told you it was millions. So it's been 53 minutes. Now it's over 8 million.
Yeah. I will just say, I don't know if she wants, if Taylor Swift decides, we're on a first name basis, me and her, because we know each other so well. But if they decide to broadcast their wedding, I don't know if they would, but that would be what I would say.
The wedding of the
royal
century.
wedding for America.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not even kidding. That sounds crazy, but that is what this is. The Eras Tour was extremely significant. You cannot deny that. And so just the impact that Taylor Swift has, I don't know.
Yeah, look, and she has these things that, like her picture on Instagram, like there's this huge flower arch, flowers everywhere. I mean, if you were going to pick like a painting to be married or to be proposed in, it looks really nice.
It's beautiful. Everything she does is pretty strategic. So I think they've been engaged for a while. That's just my assumption.
And this is the public announcement. Yeah. And I like what she said. She said your English teacher and your gym teacher are getting married.
Yeah. Which, you know how to ball. I know Aristotle was a lyric in that song you just played. So there's so many references that I could say, but I'm just going to keep it quiet. So
talented artist and apparently writes her own music.
Yeah, every single song.
So talented.
That's the root of Taylor.
Probably the biggest name in talent right now in the world.
Yeah. So sorry for the Taylor Swift segment, but this is big pop culture news for a lot of people.
Big pop culture, and we're in our fun facts segment, so it was perfect. Thanks for joining us. All right, fun facts of the day today. So it is August 26th, and it's National Dog Day. So you have to tell our listeners your dog story.
Oh, this is terrible. So last night, there's this horrible odor in our house, and I'm like, what's going on? And she said the dog got into it with a skunk last night. And so the dog had to sleep outside. I think she dealt with the dog this morning, cleaning it up. But, oh, my word. And it's the second time. I love her. Her dog's name is Abby. She's the greatest dog in the world. But she just chases anything. And I guess a skunk came into our yard, and she decided she would go, try to play with the skunk, and the skunk wasn't playing.
Yeah, the skunk wasn't playing. Maybe they were, actually. So also today is an important day at Starbucks for Starbucks fan. Why is that, Greg?
Because it's the opening day for the pumpkin spice latte,
That's
which
right.
I will never get. But we did get one for our Taylor Swift correspondent this
know.
morning, and apparently she enjoyed it. So, yeah, maybe I'll try a pumpkin spice latte between now and then.
But it's perfect today because it's rainy weather. It feels like fall might be coming. I can see a tiny bit of color on the mountains outside my house, and I love fall so much more than I love summer. So I don't drink pumpkin spice lattes, but I will do pumpkin spice something. Maybe I'll make pumpkin bread today, actually. I don't know.
If you make pumpkin pie, I'm coming over.
No, I don't like pumpkin pie.
Okay, well.
So on this day, in 1682, the English astronomer Edmund Halley first observed the comet that's named after him. So Halley's Comet was first discovered in 1682. So it's been a little while, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing that someone had the wherewithal, the technology to recognize a moving body in the 17th century, 1682.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I don't even know what the telescope would have been like at the time.
I don't know either, but it's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to tell you, I have to tell you this. Some people will think this is funny. So in 1930, Idahoan Philo T. Farnsworth received a patent for his invention of a television system. And there's a whole story behind that because Utah had his statue back in the U.S. Capitol.
Right.
It's now been replaced by Dr. Martha Hughes Cannon statue, but there was argument back and forth. Was he a Utahn or an Idahoan? I say he's from Idaho, so there you go. But on this day, he received the patent for his invention of a television system.
Why do people think he was from Utah then?
Because he spent a lot of time here growing up.
Because
he was
like
born there. But
I've always thought he was Utah.
Yeah.
Well, it was our statue at the
I know,
national.
I know, but there's a whole thing around that. But related to that, actually, is in 1920. So we're going to go back 10 years. The 19th Amendment was formally adopted into the Constitution. So it wasn't that long ago. We talked about how Tennessee became the last state to ratify it, and that was the amendment that gives women the right to vote. But it had to be formally adopted into the Constitution, and that happened on this day in 1920.
Just 105 years ago.
Yeah.
Gave women the right to vote.
Yeah. It really has
Astounding.
not been that long.
Yeah. You think our country's progressive, and we are.
Both of my grandmothers were alive when that was ratified. Yeah. Feels like not that long ago. So those are your fun facts of the day.
Well,
and congratulations, Taylor Swift.
And congratulations to Taylor Swift. And I hope that our listeners who we had one texter who said,
I'm
checking out for a minute for Taylor Swift. So join us again tomorrow. But remember, next up, Midday with Maria Shileos is up next. And she's going to provide more team coverage on the Utah judge ordering state lawmakers to redraw the state's congressional maps. We've talked about that at length today, but there's a lot more to it. Stay with us on KSL News Radio.